Welcome to South Harmon.
Yeah, buddy. Wednesday night AMA. We are live and in the building.
Live and here. Mike, I mean, talk to the people. I know they're all waiting with bated breath for your insufferable championship rant. Please, not even rant. Just tell them. Tell them fly, Eagles, fly. Come on, baby.
Super Bowl MVP, Mr. Jalen Hurts. Thank you, Jalen, for doubting, or for people doubting him. He made that one pretty special, man. Especially with the lead up. A lot of the pregame talks were about, can Jalen Hurts actually lead them? They rely so much on Saquon Barkley. Look at the offense. Can he even throw? And just went out there and just shit all over him. Just shit all over him. Might have been one of the best that at least I can remember quarterback performances ever in a Super Bowl. And now that's two back-to-back Super Bowls. If you remember the first one versus the Chiefs, he's going to get like credit for the fumble and like, oh yeah, that loss of the game. But the rest of it, he was absolutely fucking balls out, just killing it. So 2 Super Bowls now, Jalen Hurts. Shows he's got that dog in him, man. It's about time people start to respect him, especially you, Nick Wright. Go fuck yourself.
I was like, damn, I don't know what I did to Jalen. I thought you were talking to me until I heard Nick Wright. I was like,
No. But the Eagles are Super Bowl champs, 2 now. Now people can really stop fucking giving me shit. You just got the one in 2017. Fuck you, all right? We got 2 now, boy. 2.
Well, I was – one of the things, it's hard to – sometimes you got to try to find the good when there isn't any. So my biggest thing for the Chiefs, right, is like I tip my hat off to them because they really for 2 weeks did everything they could. And they knew, like, we're going to do everything at all costs to stop Saquon. I mean, they did, for real. And at all costs, it cost them dearly. It cost them dearly.
They could not stop Jalen Hurts, and they could not stop that defensive line from absolutely just dunking on them the entire fucking game.
That part was insane, honestly. I told this to Fizz, and I know Fizz is, pretending like he likes to make a big joke of everything. I respect the hell out of his takes here and push.
I mean, his team's been a joke for 30 years.
I don't know if you saw this, but Jaden Daniels and Jalen Hurts both were not even conceived, before the last time that the Cowboys were in the NFC title game. So they were born, went through every step of like, a baby to college, NFL, got drafted to teams, right? Back up to Wentz, the just highly paid franchise quarterback. Jaden Daniels to the Commanders, the team that had to rename themselves. It sucks. And here we are. But all that to say, buddy, I told this to Fizz, though, for real, going back to this. They're a cheat code, though, Mike. They've been a cheat code all year in that, essentially, right, you have A.J. Brown and Devontae Smith on the outside on islands if you try to stop 26. If you don't do that, 26 is just going to destroy you because the offensive line's too good. And anytime you challenge Hurts to the nth degree, unless the weather's really bad, he's actually made teams pay. That doesn't even touch the fact the defensive side of the ball is on. Like they got like, they honestly on the defensive side might have like 8 fucking just perennial players, dude. Honestly, it's insane. Now I know the Chiefs' offensive line wasn't great, but they're ridiculous back there.
According to AI, to your point, right? Roughly about 50% of the United States population is under the age of 30, meaning they've never seen the Cowboys win a Super Bowl in their lifetime.
No. Dude, Fizz, I mean, come on, buddy. This is
Dude, I think he's a Commanders fan now, or he might be a Raiders fan, or maybe he's a Chargers fan. I don't know. He'll find a team, I'm sure.
Well, that's how they get to the Cowboys, right?
Well, he doesn't have the Mavs anymore, after the Luka trade.
All right. Hold on. Don't just pile on Fizz, for God's sakes, a poor kid. Let me ask you this.
It was a rough week for Fizz.
Let me ask you this. Is that a one kind of game wonder where the Chiefs just had a lot of bad things happen their way, or do you think like there's a little bit of a collapse internally with just overall pieces and where they're going in the future?
I'm not going to say collapse internally. I'm not going to say it's a one-game wonder either, because you watched Tom Brady and the Buccaneers do this to him. Right?
Well, I was just going to say that last time he at least ran for his life there. He couldn't even get away from these dudes this time though.
No. Tom Brady and the Bucs did it a few Super Bowls back to him, and it just seems like they kind of go in these cycles, right? Like they get to the end of their little run right there,
yeah,
and then they got to retool. Like I fully expect Mahomes and Kansas City will be back in the Super Bowl at some time real soon, maybe as soon as next year. Like these guys are just good. The one thing I can't fucking stand is the people like saying that this tarnished Mahomes' legacy, which is because in all reality he was fucking completely inept until the end of the game. Like it was long over before he even got on the board, right? And then he's got the Xavier Worthy touchdown. I mean, the game was a fucking massive blowout at that point. Nobody really gave a shit. All it was just going to boost up Xavier Worthy hype for Dynasty in the offseason. But to say that tarnished his legacy is fucking asinine. It's like too many people are stuck in this LeBron Jordan debate where it's like, Jordan was 6 for 6. LeBron's lost. Shut the fuck up, man. Like, how many people actually get to a Super Bowl? We are literally giving Fizz shit here because this team hasn't made an NFC championship game in 30 fucking years, right? Like, who cares, right? You got to get there. You got to get there first, so it doesn't tarnish shit. It doesn't. He's still he's had the best start to his career of any quarterback in history. Literally. And it's not even fucking close. Well, because he hasn't won every Super Bowl that he's been to, all of a sudden he's not good anymore? Fuck out of here.
I mean, well, there's
how many Super Bowls Lamar Jackson been to? How many Super Bowls Josh Allen been to?
Okay, here you go. All right, Mike, I'm glad you said this because here's the thing, right? People have been preying on the downfall of this, but the reality is it's like, okay, everybody wanted to see, you could draw something up and like create a player, just like you make the scene. The end scene everybody wanted to see in the moment of truth. Mahomes didn't come through or Hurts came. It was almost like he got bludgeoned so bad, people didn't quite get to see, the downfall in the moment of truth. But like, dude, right now, if you told me they got destroyed in that game, which I think the final score is going to make it not really as clear as that was the biggest blowout. Honestly, even worse than Denver and Seattle. Like that was the biggest blowout I can remember watching, where it was like, bruh, Cooper DeJean had more yards as an interception return than the Chiefs offense did damn near in the fucking first half. Like, I mean,
you remember when he was a safety?
Mahomes too. Well,
he couldn't play corner.
He still could play safety. He just can play corner too. But
that was fun
for that game. Like, yeah, they got destroyed. They got absolutely waxed. But you telling me Mahomes' legacy? What? First of all, here's what people are forgetting: the legacy. He's currently, while losing in a big game, still has a legacy at not even 30. Because he's that good. He's that good. So
multiple.
Okay, I get it. I get the refs, all the nonsense. By the way,
MVP.
That game was so out of hand, but the fucking AJ Brown call early. Oh, dude, I was ready to freaking lose my mind. That was horrific. That was horrific.
Me and Corey together, man. Corey, my man Schumer, came up for the weekend. We had a good time, by the way. Absolutely good time. We watched the UFC fight on Saturday. Watched that Saturday night. Got blitzed out of our fucking mind. And then Sunday was like the same story, but with an Eagles Super Bowl win. But yes, we were both about ready just to start breaking shit in my own house. And I didn't even give a shit if he broke stuff in my house. Like,
hell yeah. Dude.
This is how the game's going to start here? This bullshit offensive pass? Get the fuck out of here.
Listen, when it's that magnitude, by the way, I've never had that type of a thing. So you allow whatever has to happen in the moment of, heated battles.
Mm-hmm.
We'll deal with the consequences and the other things later.
Yes.
This is everything. Okay.
Yes, this is a cheesesteak show.
This is Fizz. I was going to ask you: is it Mambo sauce or we got to go get the kid a cheesesteak? For Philly's big win. I think
you could probably put some Mambo sauce on that. It'd be all right. I did it on wings, man. I smoked 10 pounds of wings for Corey.
Corey, hold on. Corey's getting 10 pounds of wing smoke. I mean, I look at a picture. Mike's got him put to sleep. What's going on over here in Iowa?
Yeah. 2 racks of ribs, 10 pounds of ribs, cheesy potatoes. We rolled out the red carpet, the Midwest, Dubuque, Iowa.
Like, listen, you drive out here to the middle of Iowa, we're going to win you a Super Bowl, and we're going to treat you like a king.
But on them wings, man, put a little mumbo sauce on them. Tossed them in there. Oh,
how was
fantastic.
It? Was it? Nice, God. Hell yeah.
Dude, I still got a bowl up there, with leftovers. Like, there was more than enough food I could have fed all of the Savage here. Patreon.com/South Harmon.
Dear
Nice
God, what a nice little pool too. Like,
T-Rock better look out, man. You know, Corey don't bullshit about his food.
This is going to the Mahomes thing again. Everyone take it easy. The levels of T-Rock, just stop it.
I'm just saying, T-Rock, you better watch your back.
I respect the self-confidence though, but everyone just has to step in and be like, nah, hold on.
Oh, when it comes to that pellet grill.
All right, before we get to some of the other things here, the draft guide, the 2025 draft guide. What'd you think of the halftime show?
Oh man, you know, on South Harmon Vibes, Fizz and I are just gonna talk about this for endless amounts. Okay?
Yeah, that's why I wanted to make you speak on it a little bit here.
Now, no offense to anybody out there. Let me just preface this by saying I'm not trying to target individuals, but the general consensus, it felt like, of dudes who wear New Balance and have high and tight haircuts it was terrible. Okay. I have neither one of those. I do actually have a pair of New Balance. They're pretty fucking comfortable. New Balance, shout out. You want to,
shout out New Balance.
Yeah. But
Pete Carroll's got a head coach. Like, come on, why not? New Balance?
I saw a lot of reactions like that. They were from the usual suspects. And I went, yeah. I thought the fucking halftime show was fantastic. And here's the best part. I'm watching it live and I thought it was good. And then I watched like all the reaction like afterwards and like people breaking it down. He put so much shit in there, like just filled with Easter eggs galore, just all over the fucking place, which just makes it 40 times better. 40 times better. The fact I didn't even realize that when he started it out, you know, talking about playing the game or whatever, there's the fucking buttons of the PlayStation controller on the stage. Square, circle, X, triangle. I'm like, you got to be fucking shitting me. This might be the most genius thing I've ever seen in my entire life. And then he gets Serena out there, drinks X to fucking crip walk on his grave. Oh my God. What a fucking genius, man. Kendrick, GOAT forever. Forever, man. Best fucking halftime performance I ever seen. Best one.
Well, all right. I mean, you have the Eagles in the Super Bowl. I know you've team Kendrick anyway, but like it was. I'll give it credit. It was solid. I seen some like what he had the like from the stands and everyone's like not vibing and stuff. Seems like they're trying almost a little bit too hard to downplay it. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Different generation. Now everybody wants like Maroon 5 or some shit back, you know, like
I will say the bell bottoms. I just can't. I mean, I know I get it, but I couldn't.
If I wasn't a fat fuck, you know, I'd cop me a pair. But
at the same time, I'm no, you know, listen, I'm an old man. The swag is all dead. So what do I know?
True.
Don't worry. I don't know if this is facetious or not, but I'm just going to take it, frankly. If it is facetious, I deserve it. And if it's not, like, thanks. Maybe one day. I wouldn't bet on it, frankly, dude. Like, this team, the Browns, there's the opposite of the Eagles. Like, this team had a lot of problems and might be at the worst state that it's been, and that's tough to say.
If you put Madden on rookie mode, you might be able to take the Browns to the Super Bowl.
I don't know.
It'd still be a struggle.
Well, first of all, you're going to have internal problems. Like, they're going to have to make a new part of the game where just...
You know how they sit down before they make the game with all the announcers, and they go through all these scenarios, and they put all these calls in there. I don't think they probably ever said Browns and Super Bowl in the same sentence, right? Like,
no, but you know how they kind of like glitch the words together? That would be if you ever created it in the game, you could tell like it wasn't, it was very segmented.
Like an AI overdub.
The Browns, Super Bowl champ, like just completely fucking.
Basic.
Yeah. Thanks for.
Oh, we're too mean. I'm sorry.
But I was telling Fizz though, I'm like, listen, I told you this was going to happen, and just learn to be more like the Browns. Accept that it's not going to happen. Jerry Jones, I will say, for the last thing on the Cowboys, we're just piling on Fizz just because the moves he makes. I mean, it's predictable, but also just kind of hard to even stomach. Like, you really are going to do this?
He don't care. He don't care. He's rich. Doesn't give a fuck.
Well, it's beyond that. He's so rich and so up his own ass. He can't. He's in the way. He's in the way. But anyway,
yes,
we'll leave that for another day. All right, Mike. Let's talk about Draft Guide 25. What
It's here.
What are you thinking, buddy? I mean, we're ready to rock. We are totally ready to rock.
Yeah, we are, man. Pre-orders. It's up. You can go there, draftguide25.com, or just go to the southharmonff.com website if you're that way. Links down in the description, by the way. So I made it nice and easy for you. Sure, Adam did too.
Yep.
But Draft Guide, we finally decided as a team to do one. We've never done one before. We've seen others. We've read others. We've bought others. We've never done our own. Here it is, though. Done. Like, team's working fucking extremely hard on this, man. I sat down for a Saturday. Not this last Saturday. I was fucked up. But sat down on the Saturday, put on the film, took notes, started writing up my little blurbs on the players that I took. Got a couple more that I want to do, especially like the obscure ones that I'm like, all right, let me see what this boy's about, right? Here it is. There you go. There's a preview.
So let me give you a little a little graphic preview here. All right.
Look at you. Look at you.
So I've been in the lab on these, but here we got this, right? So this is the free preview. We'll give you all the whole shebang, buddy. So what it is, you got, right? You got obviously the graphic, but Barry's grade is on here, which, listen, you'll find out when you tap into this. Barry's grade takes a lot into account. But you get the Barry grade, you get the comps for, like, basically, okay, so 93.6. What players were roughly 93.6 range? You get Bijan Robinson and Jonathan Taylor, running back position, all the, stats and that stuff. And then we also give you write-ups, positive things, concerning things, and what to look for on the horizon. Listen, man, we're talking, I think the 25 class, Mike, for me, what I'm starting to realize, just, did a BDG video this week and started doing more content, dive into it. I think 25 more so than we may think. Everyone here tapped into the stream or that's like really into, following the class and C2C, whatever it may be. I think the general public is really kind of miffed on majority of the players here. So we're giving you 50 plus breakdowns, write-ups, what we think of the players and what to look for and expect. Let me ask you. Go ahead.
My first off, just on the Barry grade part, my man DB puts so much work into this. His Google Sheet game, it's ridiculous. On his big one, like the one that holds everything, the fucking thing takes forever to load because there's so much data that he's got in there. So Barry's breaking it down by things like film grade. Just your production grade. He's got your all seasons raw grade, last season's raw grade, your opportunity grade, your draft grade, and your situation grade. And all this goes into Barry's formula and how he gives out Barry grades. Now, you go, well, what the fuck does that mean? One, I can tell you, Barry is very, very smart when it comes to this kind of thing. Barry is in these sheets, right? May not be in the bed sheets, but he definitely in the spreadsheets. I don't know. Barry might be in the bed sheets too.
Don't listen to him, Barry. Don't listen to him, Barry. You keep getting ass.
You get the Canadian ass. But Barry always has, like, so he did this last year for us, put it in the Discord. We made it part of the Patreon, right? You want to tap into Barry's spreadsheet. Boom. Hit the $8 tier. You get access to it. One of those things last year that I was looking at, especially when we're doing mock draft Mondays, like, damn, Barry's got all these college guys in here pulling all this data. A lot of dudes that I didn't even fucking know. So especially when you get 5th, 6th round, I'm like, who the fuck is this guy? Let me go check Barry's grades. And then I can compare him to recent historicals, right? Like, we're not going to go back to 1998 because nobody really gives a shit. Different game, right? But you can look at the last 5 or 10 years and go, oh, damn, this guy's kind of in the same ballpark as this guy. All right. Let's go check out the film. And then you can make your own assumptions based off of that. But there's a lot of stuff that goes into Barry's grades, especially when I look at him and I'm like, oh, man, that guy's way too high. And then I go and I watch the film and I'm like, all right, fuck. We should take a better look at this guy. See? Same kind of thing when there's a dude up there that I have no idea who the fuck he is. And I'm like, how the hell is this guy in the top 5 of Barry grades at running back position? And I've never even seen this man play. You're like, ain't no way he gets drafted. And then all of a sudden it comes out of fucking nowhere. And it's like, oh, yeah, maybe I should have trusted the Barry grade on Bucky Irving. So it was so fucking high last year. But I'm like, oh, you know what? He's too small and too slow. I'm not going to draft him. He's dog shit. And now I'm sitting here at the end of the Dynasty season.
Mike, how did that work out, by the way?
Fucking terrible. Fucking terrible. So DB puts in a ton of work. Now, each one of the South Harmon team members who's participating in doing the write-ups for the guide, we got a nice team. Adam knocking out graphics. We got a lot of us doing write-ups.
We're tackling this as a squad, buddy. We were running to the ball, gang tackling, man.
What's not objective is going to be Barry's grade on each one, right? The data points that we put in there, right? What is objective is the person's opinion on the left. I always fuck that up. So
it's like I know. It's like looking in a mirror.
Here's the pros, here's the cons, and here's what the fantasy outlook is, right? Nice little bullet points, nice little synopsis, nice little summary of each player so you can get familiar with them, right? You don't have time to sit down to watch all the film on them. Here's the analytical grade from DB, and here's somebody who sat down and actually watched this prospect and what they think about him, right? Here's what you need to know about this player. So this is what makes a rookie draft guide, especially before pre-NFL draft, which is also kind of our style anyways. We do a lot of pre-NFL draft rookie drafts with a lot of people going, I have no idea who these people are. Here you go. Here you go. We'll fucking tell you, right? You get to my write-up on Cam Ward, you'll walk away from there going like, if I'm in a draft with Mike, I guarantee he's taking Cam Ward extremely fucking high.
It's almost as if Cam Ward has nothing to do with it, because I think I've seen this before, but he does have something to do with it. Damn it.
He does. So we're sitting down, we're going through them. What we have, 50 players? Is what
we have 53 or 4 currently that are on the list. I think this is the way I'm going to put it, right? The reality is we're going to end up throughout the process also updating some things on here based on what you have. Like right now we have TBD for the 40 time and all that. The combine data goes in. If there's some major shifting in what we think or what was expected in the combine, or all of a sudden Buzz and Draft Capital are talking about wildly different things, this will update and change. So we're first, we're here, we're last, and we're always.
Yeah, that's probably the biggest thing. It's going to be a living, breathing draft guide. It's not just what I wrote in there right now today about fucking Cam Ward. As we get to the combine, as we get to the NFL draft, as you get landing spots, this kind of thing, it's going to be updated. It's going to be updated in real time. So if you're interested in it, pre-orders are open right now. Price does jump up February 23rd, so definitely good to get it in here. But once you're locked in, you're locked in. As it updates, you get the updates. There's no fucking extra for it. So it's here. It's here. It's live. It's time to go. Start to get them out. So I think we're aiming for here probably about 2-3 weeks away from it being fully just, we're done. Here you go. Here's the announcement. It's out here. Go check it out. Start diving in. Read it on the shitter. Read it in bed.
Absolutely.
Read it at the bar when you can't pick up that 6 at 2 a.m. You know?
Well, yeah.
Get you some rookie knowledge.
Yeah, it's listen, worst case scenario, what, right? You get you get up and go for something different. Like I'll just give you I'm going to give you a couple different looks at this thing here. See if how people are familiar or not familiar. There's a little blurry.
Ooh, teasing. It's like a burlesque show.
Do you know? Tell me what you know. This is for the people. This is a rhetorical question, but everyone out there, tell me what you know. Put it in the chat. We got you.
Dylan
but
Sampson.
Yeah. By the way, until the 23rd, you get it for $9. All of it. So I'm not sure how that really works for us, but
hey, don't sell ourselves short. $8.99. Got to save that penny, man. Penny pinch.
A penny earned. So we got Dylan Sampson. These are just a couple little previews I put together as I'm working through all the graphics and getting all the great info in here. How about a little RJ Harvey, huh?
There you go. Now a lot of people probably don't know who the hell RJ Harvey is.
And I'm going to give you a layup if you were here.
Okay.
If you were here recently, you better fucking know now, okay? You're early.
We spent a lot of time talking about him with D-Bro last week.
I felt like I had to get
one. It wasn't
all
3 hours, but it was a lot of it.
I felt like I had to get a sweet little graphic because D-Bro was really, really talking him up. So almost like, all right, don't tell the rest of the world though. I want to draft some, okay?
You asking people about Dylan Sampson? What do you know? He plays for Tennessee.
Maybe they're like it's orange. They can't volunteer that shit. I'll tell you that for sure. Anyway, we got super chats. I got
to know what this offer is. If it's the offer, I think I was
What
I was pretty gone on multiple fronts this whole
can you give us
weekend.
just a R version of it, of what we got here? What are we looking at?
I think at one time I told him, I was like, hey, you could just, take an old poke with the old lady if you want. You know what I mean?
Dear God, this is awesome.
I think I told him, I said, I'd switch him spots. You could be the family man. I'll drive back to St. Louis. I'll go be a nurse. Single.
I'll tell you one
nurse.
thing. I know Fizz, and I was talking shit to Fizz. I was like, listen, man.
I hope that was the right one. I hope I didn't offer him something.
I tell you one thing. We're not there, but if we were, the strange level is on cloud 9. They're having a fucking ball over there. They give a shit what's going on.
Well, Saturday night, I'm giving him shit. I'm taking pictures of him because he's fucking sleeping on my couch. Like, imagine that. Corey Schumer sleeping.
I wished him. I wished him sweet dreams. You know.
You did. And then he's like, "That's a patented Schumer power nap. I power nap and snore for an hour. Then I'm ready to go."
Listen, you can't go around and start patenting shit that everyone knows about. I mean, come on, what the hell?
And then I did the same thing on Sunday. Like at 3:00, I just fell asleep.
Oh, did you get a big power nap?
Yeah, and then at 4,
Really?
I was like wide awake, ready for the Super Bowl.
This dude got a power nap for some fucking heavy lifting of the entire Chiefs squad. Yikes!
Well, I had a belly full of chicken wings and ribs at that point. So I'm like,
that'll help that out. You know, get you knocked out.
And we did successfully finish off 2 bottles of Devil's Forge. One apiece.
All right, now you're just rubbing it in. Okay,
Yeah.
Dude, Devil's Forge. Mike, I can still taste it.
Yep.
Pause.
Then we made a trip over to Illinois where the
did you
just say the laws are a little bit more laxed on some recreational products.
What kind of recreation are you talking? Like Parks and Rec? You getting?
Yeah, basically. Basically. So we enjoyed the fine experience that Illinois has to offer.
Okay.
So thank you, Illinois.
How would you 1 to 10?
Oh,
pizza review style,
top 2 or 3 most fucked up I've ever been in my entire life.
Dear God, you guys have seen Mike. I have seen the upper echelon of this.
Too. I slept like a baby, out cold. Felt great the next day.
I'll tell you one thing too. I know both of them had no shame in there, just fucking out of their minds.
No, I got the payback. Monday just tired at work. Corey left about mid-morning, then I went to work for the rest of the day. Just kind of tired, but it was a shorter day. Yesterday I got the flu. So it's
For
like
real?
delayed. Damn. Yeah, it was like delayed. There's a time delayed fuse in there. For me, Adam, you've been around me enough for people who know me. I'm a big guy that always runs hot. Hot. I'm out like fucking wintertime. I wear shorts, right? That's got a lot of body temp. I was freezing cold yesterday, and I was like,
for real? Oh, that's the worst when you can't get warm.
Something is fucking wrong.
Listen, all the shit you pulled, you should have expected worse, honestly. If that's the worst you got, you got out pretty clean, though,
Well, freezing cold, I had terrible guts, just felt terrible, nauseous all day. I came home, fell asleep because I was so tired. Woke up, I had literally just broken out in a terrible sweat. Had a little bit of a fever. Right? It's rough, but today we're good. We're back. We'll kill it with orange vodka.
Well, cheers, buddy. Okay, let's talk a little bit with the Draft Guide 25, right? So you go to draftguide25.com, you get all this stuff. Mike, let me ask you, right now, I just did a big breakdown. I thought I'd do a 5-minute video, and then I forced a bunch of I don't even know. It might not even be good, but I went through a bunch of the startup ADP right now. Granted, it's only a couple months of data, and it's early in the process, but last year, 2024, Mike, there was 6 picks, 106 to 101, right? They come off the board in the first 4 rounds of startups, ADP, when you're drafting the placeholders. Right now, do you know, I'm curious if you do you know how many of the 2025 picks are off the board by then?
In the first 4 rounds?
First 48 picks, yep.
3.
Well, I'll tell you this, buddy. I'm going to, just to make sure I'm not, losing my mind again, I'm going to pull it up just to be certain on this. Because
pull it up.
I was kind of alarmed and a little bit. This reminds me a lot of 22, but almost on steroids, dude. Just wanted to make sure here because I believe, before I go speaking out of turn, we are looking at not 3. I think it's 1.
I got 3. I'm looking at Dynasty Data Labs. So
are you okay? So
for that one.
No, sorry. So it's 1. There's 1 in the first 3 rounds, and then there's 3 in the first 4. Is that correct?
You are correct there.
All
2
right.
go in the 4th.
So just think about that though. Last year we had the 103 come off the board in the first 2 rounds, right? Granted, there's a lot of reasons, right? There's the wide receiver position was goated. Their quarterback position we knew we were gonna get 4. Yep. Then we got 6. I mean, but at the time a year ago we thought 4. So I understand all that, but man, you're telling me Jeanty's that far and away. Now I think from value we've already talked about this. This is why he is worth it because the value is just ridiculous. But I'm telling you right now, we already know the rookie picks come up quite a bit as the time goes on. I think there's going to be some hidden gems in these 25 lotto picks, buddy, to be honest.
Yeah, I think so. I think even in 22 we had some big wild misses, right? You and I particularly when we did all our pre-NFL drafts, the Malik Willis and the Sam Howells and the Matt Corrals, right? Like
I haven't gotten all of that out of my system, but buddy, I got a lot of bad picks that year. Really bad.
Right. You had Kenny Pickett ended up being a turd, but we had some nice surprises, right? Jahan Dotson for at least one season. Dynasty value-wise and production-wise was a nice surprise. I mean, he had basically what Jordan Addison had for his rookie year as far as production went.
Yep.
So there was some hope there. Chris Olave was a real nice surprise, and you see how high he got.
Yep.
Kenneth Walker has been kind of a godsend, in
Sure.
that class. That's somebody that we didn't really have extremely high in the pre-NFL draft process, but kind of grew on you. You had some nice gems come out of 22, right? The best part about it is if you're picking right now, like if you're sitting here and somebody's out here taking, one of these 101, 102, 103, like the 3 picks that go in the top 4 rounds of startups, right? They're spending premium draft capital on it. If you're that dude who's out there who's taking the 108, the 19, the 110, the 111, there's a good chance you're going to get a good fucking player and you're spending a 7th, 8th, 9th, 10th round startup pick on him right now. Right? Like those are the kind of the picks that you want to have, right? Like you want multiple shots at it. You want multiple shots at like the 2nd round kind of guys. Right, because you want those big value bumps.
Check this part out because you got it up or you said you did with the Dynasty Data Lab. That's what I was on too, right? One of the crazy parts about this is take a look at the 9th round. See, it catches back up with itself. The 9th round you get basically caught up with the 201 and the 202 going in the same spot as it was a year ago. There is just a massive crater from like 102 to like 110, like you're talking about there, where I think the class, because of the running back position, Mike, is going to end up being more valuable than people think. Now, you're not going to get some crazy, top. You'd be out of your mind lucky to get a Bucky Irving type deal, right? But why not get a 5th round? I don't think it'd be crazy to see some of those running backs go in the 5th, 6th round of startups next year, which that would be hopefully production and dynasty value right there.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's definitely a reasonable scenario. It really feels like if you're the one who's really pushing to take one of these top picks in the early rounds, you're kind of setting yourself up for probably disappointment. Like it doesn't feel like you have a nice, real soft place to land because the class as a whole, this has probably been my biggest thing about it. And anybody who's tapped into film sessions can definitely attest to. Anybody who's really studied the class at this point from a dynasty landscape, it can really attest to. Jeanty for a lot of people is 101 by leaps and bounds, right? Like, oh man, I'm just going to take Jeanty. Like, and people are already locking into this. This is the safest. This is the best one. Whatever. You sit there and you watch film session, and you watch some film. You look at Barry's grades. You look at some of the other stuff on some of these other running backs, Adam. Like we're talking about running backs who are going to go in the NFL draft 3rd, 4th, 5th round. Who I'm telling you is just like an eyelash away from being just as good as Jeanty. In actual talent, right? Like in actual talent. This isn't a knock on Jeanty. He's just not Saquon Barkley, who's on the screen right now. I love that one. He's not Bijan. He's not Jonathan
That
Taylor.
was for Fizz. Sorry, Fizz. I know it was out of order, but I had to do it.
He's not LT, right? He's not one of those guys. He's a very good running back prospect who, like if you would have said the Gibbs Bijan class, and people may not like to hear this. If you said Gibbs Bijan class, he'd be in contention for RB3 in that class. I'm not even saying he'd be RB3. He'd be in contention.
Now let me ask you, and this is more so for everybody here. What for you? What's the traits that he's lacking from being? I think he's very, very good. He's definitely going to get the draft capital, and he's a really good prospect. But what's keeping him from, in your estimation, the that big elite jump tier?
Three things for him. Breakaway speed. I'm not saying you got to go out and run a 4.3, right? Mm-hmm. But he's probably a 4.5 guy. Like he really is. Now,
and I know everyone listening, you should be really paying attention to what happens with the combine and whatnot. If he runs a fast 40, that'll be interesting. I'm with Mike. I think he's more like a, high 4.4 guy, low 4.5 guy. Honestly,
here's the second problem, which also ties in with the breakaway speed.
Okay.
Like people say, well, I see his film. He breaks away all the time. He goes for long runs. Smaller school competition. Right, Mountain West isn't the strongest, right? Mm-hmm. He did do it you get the Oregon game. I'll give you that one. He did it against Oregon, right? You also saw what happened in the playoff versus Penn State versus an elite defense. And the Penn State isn't, not even going to say elite, like they're a very good defense. They weren't the best defense in college football. They weren't in that top tier. They're very good, but not elite. They completely shut him down. Like he did it at a smaller school against lesser competition. So when he is running away from people, usually it's against like Nevada, right? Like
the Wolfpack.
Utah State, right?
Yep.
Like it's Fresno State. Like it's this kind of shit where you go, is he really that fast, or is just everybody else just kind of mid, right? Like is he fast for kind of that big fish in a small pond or small fish in a big pond kind of deal? So
not kind of, just exactly like that,
You got those. And then the receiving work is, I'm not going to say it's a huge question mark for me, but I do wonder, and this could just be the offense or inept coaching. Mm-hmm. But Jeanty leading up to this year was viewed as a DeAndre Swift type, third down back, can also run between the tackles, could be an every down kind of guy. This past year, when he ended up with this monster rushing production year, his passing game usage is was so suspect just this year. It's like the one outlier where you go, what the fuck happened? Like, why are you playing some unheralded freshman on third downs when this Heisman Trophy contender, could break Barry Sanders' record kind of player is in your backfield at Boise State? Why is he off the field on third downs? Why is this other jabroni out here playing? Right? Is that jabroni actually better than him on third downs? Were they trying to save him? Is your coaching staff just stupid? Like I don't understand what the hell was going on. It's kind of like when you look at like when I watched Caleb Johnson as an Iowa fan, because that's the only fucking thing I have to watch. But, when it mattered on third downs, his ass is out there, right? Like, fuck yeah, Caleb Johnson's going to be out there, right? We don't throw to the running back often. We don't throw often, period. But we want our best player on the field. They were taking him off the field, and I didn't understand what the fuck was going on. So not like a huge concern because you saw him do it, years before.
Yeah, two years ago, for those that don't know, he checked basically what you would like to see and probably more.
Yeah. But this past year, it's like I don't understand what the hell happened. So I'm willing to write that one off, but the other two concerns kind of stay there, right? Where I say, man, he did it at a smaller school, and I don't know if he really has that home run ability. So when you're talking about elite running backs in the NFL, like you don't have to run a 4.4 or 4.3 to be a good running back in the NFL. You do have to run it to be an elite running back, right? We want to talk about the elite of the lead. It's fucking Bijan, it's Saquon, it's, Jahmyr Gibbs, it's Achane with that home run ability. Mm-hmm. Even fucking big-ass Derrick Henry breaks away long runs, right? He's faster than you think once he gets moving.
Derrick Henry has wheels. It just takes him a while to get up.
It takes him a while to get up there. But, I just don't think Jeanty really has that. And especially once you get to the NFL and you graduate from Mountain West competition all the time to Penn State plus competition at the NFL level, can you be anything more than just kind of a volume kind of guy? Like, can you give us those big plays? Can you separate yourself, or are you just going to be a volume play? Which I kind of wonder.
It makes sense. I mean, I think it's fair criticism or things if you're definitely going to nitpick at the top, because the class, let's just call it like, the class doesn't have the top end talent also to make it more of a discussion. That's part of the reality of the class, right? So I think one thing I was going to say, and I know people that maybe have watched or are curious, to me, when I watch him, the way he kind of really uses the leverage of the defenders where they are against them, and he reminds me a lot with his angles and the way he plays with the running style sometimes of Alvin Kamara. And let me ask you, for a guy like him that didn't necessarily have he didn't have that home run hitting ability realistically, right? But you saw him pop plenty of long ones based on his pedigree. So like, do you think do you let me ask you this from the aspect of him being a running back and some of his other traits that aren't the home run hitting ability, do you think he's so much of a plus there that he could outweigh some of that, or do you think for you that's not really something that's going to get done considering it's just the NFL?
I think he definitely could be, and Kamara is a good one. Kamara is a good one that surprised a lot of people, right? But the one thing I'll say with Kamara, Kamara always had that burst, like that ridiculous burst, that ridiculous first step in acceleration. I don't see it with Jeanty. I don't see that. So like, it could be done, but Kamara at least had that going for him, right? Like, his rookie year, he's returning kicks. Back when the old kickoff rules, not this shit now, but the old kickoff rules, right? They're putting them back there because they're like, he's fucking fast enough, man. The acceleration is enough to get you there, right? Maybe he only got 4 or 5 speed, but he's going to hit that hole or he's going to hit that crease so fucking fast people aren't going to realize that he's already gone. Like, you're going to erase angles. And then the other thing about Kamara that's interesting is, I mean, as a prospect coming out, there was some people who were on him, but it wasn't like, man, we're talking about Kamara as the best running back in this class. He was just one of those guys in the class. Even the NFL didn't like him that much when he fell as far as he did. So
yeah, well, I mean,
I think it also becomes tougher.
Go ahead.
It becomes tougher when you're a guy like Jeanty, who people are saying, top 10 pick or whatever. Like, the pressure, the spotlight's already going to be on you, right? Like, now we're going to pick apart his game versus being that Bucky Irving or that Kamara type who kind of surprises people and comes out of nowhere, right? Like, but that's the burden that you get when you're a top prospect. Like, that's the burden. We're going to pick you apart more than we're going to lift you up. So
sure,
he definitely can do it. I'm not saying, he's going to be a fucking bust. I could see him finishing, top 5 to 10 pretty consistently over the next couple of years if he gets in the right situation. Like, he's talented enough to do it. My biggest separator is, like, we talk about Warp all the time. Is he going to be that number 1 running back, that number 2 running back? That's such an advantage over the rest of the field versus everybody else that's coming in, right? Like, can Caleb Johnson also finish in 5 to 10? Fuck yeah. Like, I've watched Kyron Williams do it. Fuck, Caleb can do it. Omari and Hampton can do it, right? There's a plethora of running backs in this class that I definitely could see in that 5 to 10 range. We just don't really know until they get in the situation. So
yeah, one thing I think to keep in mind with this conversation, right, from the standpoint of fantasy and picking them, right? So I think here's the thing about this class. I think there's so much overall talent across the board that, to your point, like, there's going to be multiple running backs that end up probably exceeding whatever their expectations are, and we won't probably, those that have been paying attention, be all that surprised. The hardest thing, I think, with the conversation is you better get a lot of shots, because I think there's going to also be plenty of talented backs that either get in the wrong situation, and they don't have pick 6, pick 8, pick 10 to keep getting the rock, right? A lot of the times, it's not necessarily the talent. There could be, someone else in the backfield that is a pest for him. There could be offensive line shit. The coach falls out of favor with the coach. Injury. There's just not that much room for error for a lot of these guys that might be, round 3, late round 3, especially because the class is so deep. You might be able to wait on running back a little bit. So I think that's the thing to keep in mind is you got to get a lot more shots, I think, for the other running backs, because there's going to be some that bust for sure.
So the correlation between 22 is always going to be a good one, right? And Breece Hall ended up being the de facto 101 for almost everybody universally.
Yeah.
Now, Breece Hall had moments his rookie year, right? He had moments up until his ACL tear, and then, he was decent, for a little bit. right?
Yeah.
Like he's had moments. He's been good. Now, let me just pose this question to you. Breece Hall, I would say, was a better prospect than Jeanty coming out. You want to talk about home run and breakaway ability and size. He had everything.
I was going to say, I think the only way that narrative though is true, because I think Jeanty's a more complete runner, but I think Breece Hall had the it factor because he could take any run to the house, and that is huge for fantasy. You saw it in year 2, right, with him. Dude was killing it. But go ahead, yeah.
Now I'd say Breece Hall has been if you took him 101, you're not mad about it, right? If you took him 101 and 22, you're not mad about taking Breece Hall, right? No stretch, right? Like, it was a hit for you. You did all right.
Yeah.
But let me just pose the question.
Sure.
Now think about these players' best seasons, right? And where their dynasty value was at. Not necessarily where it is right now, but where it was at in the production that they've given you over the time. Were you better off with one Breece Hall, or were you better off with a James Cook, a Dameon Pierce, a Rashad White, like Tyler Algier? Now add a bunch of those dudes together at the running back position. Like, did you make out better with one Breece Hall, or did you make out better over the last couple of years with 2, 3, 4 of these guys? Because in reality, where they were taken in 22, you could have traded the 101, got the 111, the 112, a 205, and would have fucking nabbed all of them, right? Like, you could have taken every single fucking one of them.
Mm-hmm.
Now, you think about if you would have traded Rashad White after what he did last year, like where that was. Tyler Algier after his rookie year, after that production, and then where James Cook is now, like what James Cook's doing now and where he's valued in Dynasty now. This is kind of where Maddie was talking about. It really feels like this is a trade-up class, or this is a stack-em-up kind of class. Yeah. And I'm really going to side with the stack-em-up kind of class. I'm really going to side with the...
Are you?
Why take... Yeah.
That doesn't sound that clear right now.
I'm going to side with the fact that, fuck, I could put Brian Robinson. Brian Robinson was in that fucking class, man.
Oh, don't. You hated that guy.
I did. He's slow as shit.
Me too, by the way. Yeah. Sorry.
But you could have had multiple, instead of one Breece Hall, you could have had multiple shots at these guys. Now, could you have missed with some of those picks? Sure. Absolutely. But if you hit 2 or 3 of them, right, with what you're trading back from the 101, like, people are always going to ask, like, hey, what can I get for the 101? Whatever the fuck your league will give you. Like, whatever they're going to be willing to trade, which in a lot of leagues is going to be a haul. Like, there's a lot of people with late picks and second-round picks and third-round picks that are like, I'd love to package all this shit together to go get Jeanty at 1.
Pause. No, I mean, well, I think, because there's a lot to dissect there, I think, from the standpoint of thinking about them in assets of 2 different forms almost, right? Mike, because if you're telling me right now it's a lineup league where you can start probably more than 9, I'll say even 10, right? There's probably a case for the production, like, just let's say you just had the assets and you were playing them. You're talking Tyler Algier, you had a good year there. I don't know what his warp really was, but he was a very solid contributor, flex for sure.
Oh, thanks, Scoop. I bet I can find that.
I'm sure you can. Well, that's what I was kind of trying to lead you in. I love this.
I got you, boss.
Matter of fact, you know what? Hold on. This is for Koopa. I'm sorry. Hold on, Mike. I'm going to cut you off, and I don't want to, but I kind of do. Koopa has been requesting, and bless his heart, I'm going to give it to him, So I got a little thing for us to take a look at warp in a second. But, Mike, what I want to talk about is also with the rest of that, right? You have plenty of those other players. Rashad White. You have who was the other one you mentioned?
James Cook.
James Cook, yeah. Well, okay, so James Cook would be the one there that if you just fast forward to today, I mean, he's 85, 90% of Breece Hall from the standpoint of just value anyway right now, right? Not to mention, to your point, like, he probably, I would venture to say, pretty easily you won at James Cook last year to Breece Hall. The crazy part about Breece, though, is, like, he's coming off a pretty historically bad season for what we were thinking he was going to go into this year. I shouldn't say historically bad. Expectations fell way short. He's still RB5. The dude has this dynasty probably tradability for the last 3 years and dynasty value.
Yeah.
To the point we're talking about here that I think is a pretty good corollary where, like, Jeanty, if Jeanty goes top 12, like, I haven't seen a mock where he's outside of 12. If he's top 8 or something, just think about those backs. Now, obviously, Jeanty doesn't have to be as good as them, but you're going to give that guy all kinds of work, And the value insulation for these early picks, even if he's not that good, is just crazy. I can't remember a running back like that people gave up on. So that's the biggest thing is like that. Even if you decide, all right, man, I'm out, you can probably get out at pretty damn good prices, even if it's not the perfect time to trade him away. So
the interesting thing about Jeanty, and I don't think a lot of people want to make this corollary with him,
okay.
which is going to be. Let's follow me here just for a second on this one with him.
Let's do it.
Okay. Now I acknowledge you're probably right. The draft capital is going to be better. But once upon a time, Najee Harris went in the first round to the absolute perfect fucking landing spot. And we think about Najee now and people are not excited for him and slow or whatever. Najee also went out in his rookie year and just flat out balled out. Like balled out of his fucking mind. And this is a Najee Harris who was doing it at Alabama. And if it wasn't for Devontae Smith having a ridiculous year, Najee Harris was in the Heisman Trophy fucking conversation too. Sure. Like pretty, I don't know if he finished fucking second, third, wherever the fuck he was. He was in that conversation for the Heisman Trophy that year. Like that team ran through Najee Harris too. It just so happened that Devontae Smith also balled out of his fucking mind that year as well. Mm-hmm. Also led by Mac Jones, who was in the Heisman conversation, so it is what it is. But Najee was viewed very, very highly by the community. I would say that, you want to talk about Gibbs or you want to talk about Bijan or Saquon or Breece Hall or whatever. Jeanty is a hell of a lot fucking closer to Najee Harris, being a 20th kind of player in the first round to a good situation away production-wise in his rookie year than he's ever going to be to these other guys.
Well, I think
that's probably my biggest issue.
I get that from the standpoint of what your conversation, I get the argument. I will say, I think when we talk about like numbers and analytics, the people that I know that were very out on Najee were essentially like he's never had good metrics as far as rushing stats go, right? Whether it's archaic or not, and I'm talking yards per carry, or it's or it's the after contact stuff. So really, and Najee was unbelievable, but the biggest thing for him, if you remember, I want to say I'm not mistaken, it was outrageous the amount of catches he had in his rookie season. Not saying that he didn't. I mean, he balled out to a high degree. I'm pretty sure he was like running back 3. As a matter of fact, I got Warp right here, and we'll pull her up.
He was very high, but it was also buoyed by catches because that offensive line was dog shit.
Am I tripping? I want to say he had like 93 catches, man.
Yeah, I can believe it.
So here we go, man. We got the Warp Tool scene. This is for Koopa Troopa. Not just for Koopa Troopa, for everybody. So that, when Mike and I start talking about Warp, you can actually potentially see now. This is anticlimactic, but here we go. All right, so single year data. We're looking at 2021 here. I wanted to see what this is a Superflex 12.
How high Najee was?
Yeah, I wanted to see Najee's Warp. But I think the biggest thing is Jeanty as far as efficiency and all that goes. Now, granted, totally different conversation. We're talking about Bama versus Boise. But let's see where we got here. Jonathan Taylor 1, Austin Eckler 2, Mixon, Najee right there. Huh? I don't know about you, but that's the same as Jefferson. I think it's good. I think that's pretty good. Anyway.
You got to put that super chat, or not super chat, that last comment from K-Mac up on the screen, man. That was too good, K-Mac.
How often does Mike get
0.3. It's an average.
The value insulation on that is not the greatest. I'll say that.
That's not the greatest. I rewatched all of The League, all 7 seasons, Adam. I don't know if you ever watched that show. On FX.
I haven't watched it to the degree of high
gotcha. For anybody who has, man, my sex life is probably like Andre's, right? Does your hand count?
Sure, absolutely.
All right then.
Listen,
back. If the
it's
hand
very
counts,
that's very much like Jeanty last year. He had to do a lot of it himself, buddy. He had to do a whole lot of it himself. All right.
I got no offensive line. I got no help. No skill players.
You guys are wondering why he has no catches. I'm doing it all on the ground, damn it. Come on. I got us to the Penn State shellacking. What do you want from me?
Jesus Christ.
All right. So anyway, there's we'll be using that a little bit more, but Mike, what I wanted to say, and we've had Saquon up for so long, I think we could still leave him up, but I'm gonna, just for the sake of everyone's sanity. Jake's offering, by the way, Jake, I love you. Okay, I just want to know why he offers every person that I've ever seen, and I respect the hell out of it, tickets. I don't think I get them, but I would maybe one day I'll get to go.
Rookie year, Najee had 74 catches.
74.
94 targets.
90. Okay, so I said 93 is 90. That was the target number, which is ridiculous. 74 catches is crazy, bro.
1,200 yards rushing.
I mean, dude, 74 catches. Like, can you give some comparative context? Because I don't think people realize like how many like the rare company of receptions that is. 70 receptions in North in a season is bananas.
Yeah, it's a lot. Let's look at this year. Wide receivers, tight ends, everybody who had less than 74 catches. Zay Flowers, T. Higgins, Josh Downs, Keenan Allen, Michael Pittman, Nico Collins, Alvin Kamara, Devontae Smith, A.J. Brown. Yeah.
Wow. I think that's
74
good.
is a lot.
Yeah, it's kind of high.
And he did it in one less game, right? He didn't have that 18 game or that 17 game season, 18 week NFL season.
You're not wrong. I mean, I think Jeanty possesses a lot of really good traits. I do agree that I don't think he has, and I'm being sincere about this. Like the 4.5, 4.52 to 4.41, 4.38 is absolutely seismic as far as taking the top off, right?
Yep.
Also, I'm kind of curious to see what his size speed test results end up coming in at too, because I think it'll be good. I think it'll be above average. As to your point, I don't think he'll have that. That holy fucking shit, you know.
Now I will say this, man. We've gotten away from 40 times as like the end all be all metric for running backs. They still matter. Speed score is still going to matter to some. Sure. But there's a lot of people doing really good work out there with in-game tracking and, actual miles per hour, right? Mm-hmm. So if you want to talk about that, Jeanty did hit 21.5 miles per hour in game. So the fucking guy may come out and surprise us during the combine, which would be great. Like, Adam, if you told me he came out and he ran a 4.4 at the combine and just...
If he runs a 4.43...
Jesus, fuck. Okay.
Bye-bye. Well,
I'll shut the fuck up. I'll retract everything I've ever said.
You know what?
He could be that guy.
Damn, now I'm really curious. I want to know what Kamara's top end speed ended up being like in his heyday. Because I bet you they probably had that similarity of it's.
Let me do just a little
more than you think, but it's just not outrageous.
Let me see if I can pull anything off here.
I love what I'm hearing. You could pull it off. I believe in you.
Who the fuck are all these other Kamaras? Like, you think if you just type in Kamara, it'd just be one Kamara.
You thought it was going to be that simple? Come on, buddy. You know better than that.
Can I get one here?
Can I get one?
No. How the fuck do we not have one on him?
That I don't know.
Nothing.
Really?
Nothing.
Really? Okay. Fair enough.
I'd imagine it'd probably
he's a little more old school, you know?
Yeah. Yeah. Do you type in just X to like go to Twitter to search it? This is fucking great. Tells you how much fucking porn I watch.
Well, there's your answer. I should have fucking kept that up. How much sex do you get a week, right? Do you count the World Wide Web?
So this is from 2018, right? From NFL data. His fastest run, Alvin Kamara, during that year was 19.6.
I think 21 relative to that's pretty good.
And we got another one here from Next Gen Stats from 2020, because he's got a lot of stuff on here. Next Gen Stats from the NFL.
Uh-huh.
You remember he kind of had like a 57-yard rushing touchdown in 2020, where he was like really patient through the whole fucking thing.
That's what I mean. He was just, yep.
Yeah. Not top speed or whatever. He never reached faster than 15 miles an hour the whole run.
Dude,
man had a 52-yard touchdown run, never ran faster.
There you go. Give me a stat where someone ran that slow for that long and avoided NFL defenders.
Here's a good one from Matt Harmon, man, from 2017. I love this one.
Okay.
I love this one. This is
I'm intrigued by the name.
Shout out GOAT Matt Harmon, man.
Yeah, shout out the Harmons, South Harmon, Matt Harmon.
So this is from 2017. Average speed at the line of scrimmage. You want to talk about acceleration? Alvin Kamara, 10.5 miles per hour. By far and away the fastest.
That's crazy.
The burst in the acceleration. Tevin Coleman 9.5, Derrick Henry 9.5, Jerick McKinnon 9.5, Alvin Kamara a full mile per hour faster at the line of scrimmage way back when.
Bro.
That's cool.
It's pretty awesome.
Cool to look at that.
I bet you some of the burst and acceleration that Jeanty has might surprise you though. I think he has that part of his game. I definitely can understand and get behind the top end speed though.
It just doesn't really show up on tape like that. It just really doesn't. And when it does, I go, who the fuck is the dude chasing him down that he's like trying to like run away from? Oh, that's like a dude who won't even get an invite to the NFL Combine. So,
that's my other thing though. Is I wonder if he'll end up being just sneaky athletic.
Sneaky athletic? Mm-hmm. He's not a white quarterback. You can't say that about him.
No, but I mean, Mike's besmirching like the guy's a sub athlete. He's just beating his. I get it. He's not a track star, but it's versus the competition he played. But Mike, how many times did we see him just corner, no angle? Granted, what would we watch? We watched Oregon. We watched. There was a bad one in there. I'm trying to remember.
He had a bad game.
Yeah, well, no, the competition. It was Oregon. It was.
We watched like Washington State.
There you go. Washington State was the Cougars, baby. Speaking of, Mike's looking, But yeah, I think with Jeanty, if there's a concern, it's that. Aside from that, I don't really have many, other than what his cost is going to end up being. But here's the thing, Mike. It's not like when I look at it, he's going in the third round, right, or the late second. I feel like that's pretty appropriate, though, realistically.
Yeah.
I also feel like the rest of the 25 class going a little bit late, but if you're telling me he's in the outside of top 20 in startups, I feel like that's.
It's kind of like it is kind of like the 22 corollary, right? Like if people remember, if you were around for startups in 2022 with rookie picks at this time, Breece Hall was going in mid to late,
right?
Second round pick, right? It's kind of where he was at,
for sure. Yeah, as a matter of fact, I had it. I had these pulled up here because I'm going to do a deep dive next week. Little South Harmon action. Shout out to the shitheads. We're coming correct next week with some short form videos. All right, so I have 24 pulled. I have 2022, Mike. So we are looking at ADP. Let's see what we got. The 101 was coming off the board in the middle of the third, pick 30. So that's pretty similar to the idea of like what's going on with Jeanty right now.
Yeah, people down on that class didn't really like it. A lot of uncertainty,
for sure. The quarterback class honestly ended up being even worse in 22. I can say that without even knowing what 25 is going to do.
Yeah, I'd say you're probably safe on that one.
Listen, I know I test the guys and I find ways to make them do crazy shit, but I feel like that's pretty safe. We're going to get 2 in the top 10, 12 for sure.
There's still some question marks about this quarterback class. Let's just say that.
No, for sure. I just don't think there's as bad as it was in 22's class.
I don't have question marks about 2 guys.
What are your thoughts on Jaxon Dart, by the way, after Debro last week and kind of thinking about some of him and where he's at?
I see he pretty solidly put him at QB2 today. I saw a nice tweet from him. Was reading through it. We haven't got to him on the film study yet, which I really want to do. Listen, a lot of this is also going to be helmet scouting, being burned in the past. And you want to talk about 22. I was a big Matt Corral fan. People talked me into Matt Corral, and I bought in. I was big into Matt Corral. Didn't fucking work. Now, It's different because it's a different coaching staff, right? It wasn't Lane Kiffin coaching Matt Corral way back when, right? So the offense is different. Matt Corral got to enjoy a lot of easy college reads, and then when he went to the NFL, they were like, "You can't do this shit." Like this was a gimmicky bullshit fucking offense from the get go. Jaxon Dart is pretty interesting. Now, I think the problem with Jaxon Dart that I have, at least for me, and this is without really watching him, is just the guy has been around forever, right? So you just kind of go, oh, like
Isn't that Cam Ward too?
It's different for Cam Ward because Cam Ward came out of nowhere, right?
But he didn't completely. I get what you're saying. He did in a way, but he also we've known. How many years have we known about Cam Ward? Granted, we're C2C.
The difference is Jaxon Dart started as a freshman at USC, a premier program, and you got to see it, and then he bounced, to Ole Miss, and feels like he's been there for 15 years.
I get your point. I won't.
Cam Ward came out of fucking Incarnate Ward.
Baby.
Whatever the fuck.
Shout him out. Shout him out. Incarnate Word. Incarnate Word. Word. Cam
Wherever
Ward
the
and
fuck
Word.
That is. Right. And then he went to Washington State. And unless you played in C2C leagues, you didn't know who the fuck Cam Ward was. Right. And nobody watching Washington Cougars football. No one gave a shit.
I had assumed my Cam Ward shares busted 3 times, honestly. That's the crazy part about the Cam Ward experience.
Right. You're okay,
not exaggerating either. Damn it. How did this keep... Then he, gets a new chance. But we got to see it all come to fruition. One thing I'm going to ask you, because I think there's a lot more buzz lately, and it seems to be something that's kind of gotten bigger and bigger steam, and the way things continue to pan out. What do you think about the guys that declare early at QB versus the guys that continue to play? How much merit do you put into this? Because this is starting to become where the data is, whether you like it or not, and you think, oh, hey, well, they couldn't come out as a junior, so they're obviously not as good. But numbers sometimes don't lie. I don't know. I'm not the Rain Man, okay? I just know what is happening.
So you do get big hits. You can get some big hits with juniors at quarterback, right? And we have in the past. That used to be the standby.
Mm-hmm.
Now you got COVID rules and the NIL and these transfers all over the fucking place. And here's a simple fact. Players do go back to school and they actually get better. And I think this last year was probably the biggest eye-opener for a lot of these, you couldn't come out as a junior or dog shit, right? Bo Nix hit. Jaden Daniels hit. Michael Penix hit. Right? A lot of these guys that went back to school have been around forever that we poo-poo. We don't fucking like them.
We liked them. We wrote them off. We liked them. We wrote them off, right?
And all of a sudden they're out here fucking flat out dominating because they have all this experience and they've seen a bunch of shit come at them already, right? They've already been there. I've seen this defense before. Now it's a little bit better at the NFL than what I experienced in college, but I got a nice starting point on where to work. I think in this new modern college football, that shit's old. You just throw that fucking out, right? I'm gonna poo-poo on this guy because he didn't come out as a junior. Fuck that, man. Fuck that. If you come out and you can ball, we're also talking about the quarterback position where we got dudes playing into their 40s like it's nothing. We don't even give a shit.
Well,
if you come out at 24 or 25 anymore, who the fuck cares?
Just as long as you're not Brandon Weed and you come out at 29, all right? That's where I draw the line.
Exactly. You're coming out at 29, fuck out of here.
But do you think that's my question is, do you think that there's more to be said than just that as a stat? That's something that you want to chase, or do you think that's going a little too far?
I don't know if it's something I want to chase, right? Drake May and Caleb Williams still wildly successful. We talked about it last week. A lot of D-Bro's out on Caleb. A lot of people are out on Caleb. I still very much believe in Caleb.
I'm not going to knock any of the guys that don't have enough time in the you don't have enough time in the chamber to really have a judgment call on them, right? But if you go back and look, I'm at least from what was reading, and granted, take this for what it is, as far as quarterbacks that came out declared early, that took to the elite level, Cam's one of the few. Cam Newton, that is. A lot of these guys that have declared early, they just really haven't panned out to be superstars. They've been good. Some of them have been good. A lot of them have been bust.
Right. Well, you want to talk about some of the ones that come to my mind, right? Like Mitch Trubisky. That was the knock on him.
There you go.
starting experience.
And see, Mitch is a perfect example. Now, I think if we were watching film back then, we would know. But Mitch had some people fooled for a little bit. And I feel like that's one of the things that we got to be a little bit careful of with some of these guys. I'm not talking about May or Caleb. I'm not talking anyone specific. But just because a guy has a good half season, full year, rookie season, right, doesn't mean that we're locked in like this guy's a cornerstone piece for our team. Like we still need to see.
The other one that comes to mind, and shout out for his coach being back in the fucking league too. But you remember when Pete Carroll kind of poo-pooed on the idea of Mark Sanchez coming out?
Oh yeah,
as a junior.
Oh yeah.
No, he needed more time. Yep. Now, for what it's worth, if you're just a record, a stat counter or whatever, like you want to look at it, the motherfucker did go to AFC Championship games, plural, right? Yep. But a lot of that was Rex Ryan in that fucking defense. But,
I mean, we had a whole island on that team,
Yeah, you did, and you had Sean Green at running back.
Yeah, don't forget about the rest of the squad. But I mean,
shout out Sean Green.
Shout out Sean Green.
But yeah, I mean, there's two pretty big glaring examples of not a lot of starting experience coming out in the NFL and just not fucking ready, and then they're cast off to the side. They just can never really get it together. I would say you got a lot more examples of guys who, fourth year, fifth year, now in this age, 6 year senior quarterbacks who've been out there and been doing it for fucking ever, that they go to the NFL and you're like, oh my God, they actually are good. Right? Well, holy shit.
Well, I feel like Jaden is an example where, see, you didn't really have those typically where the guys that were, went to school for an extra year and they were playing back in the day, not even that long ago, their game probably didn't have that high-end excitement, and now you're looking at guys that are like you're talking about dynamic players, and they have experience, and I don't know. I'm not actually here to make a call. I'm more so asking. Chat, let me know what you guys think on this.
I think, dude, just holistically, we used to talk about early breakouts and age at draft, like that kind of stuff does come into play still, but it's a lot. At least for me, like I'm just going to speak from my perspective. Sure. At least now where am right now in the rookie process, that is like a very minor thing. It's kind of like landing spot at this point.
We're talking about 14 years old. 14 whole years, Andrew.
It's kind of like landing spot at this point for me, right? Like people will go like, this is such a good landing spot for this rookie. It's so good. And then it turns out it was actually not that great. And, no one gave a shit. Or we talk about, like we want to talk about historicals. Remember when A.J. Brown went to the terrible landing spot and then that shit didn't really fucking matter.
The Titans ruined it. If you
right? Stop it. So I would say youth, age at draft, breakout age, like it still matters some to me, but it's more like it's just become more of like tiebreakers than anything else, right? Like if I got two prospects that are neck and neck and I go, I can't decide between fucking, Caleb Johnson and, whoever else, right? Insert other running back who may be a 4-year guy. Oh, okay. If they're neck and neck for me, I'm going to side with Caleb Johnson, but it's just as a tiebreaker. I still think the other guy's good. He just had to stay for 4 years, right? Like, TreVeyon Henderson. There we go.
Well, here, I'm literally about to pull. Damn it. Let's go. Talk about it. Give it to me.
There you go. TreVeyon. He was on the thumbnail. For fuck's sake. Good picture.
I mean, you know what I was doing. I had to, let the beat build, let it marinate. But go ahead. Tell me about it.
But like if I got a tiebreaker between the two, I'm going to go with the guy who's a little bit younger and who came out a little bit earlier. But it's not to say that TreVeyon's bad or anything, right? Like maybe him going back to school actually helped him. Well, maybe it helped him.
Well, because here's what I want to ask you. Tre's pretty big here. Whoa, holy crap.
Huge.
But no, I mean, well, what you were talking about, this guy has the home run speed. If you needed to know anything about that,
home run speed.
The dude has I think a lot of the traits. I mean, there's a lot of question marks. There's a lot of question marks because he was so highly touted. This is the guy that in 2021, right? We're talking about like, oh, he's going to be the 101. He's going to be a, dynamic Gibbs type level player. I don't know that he truly has all that quite talent, but I think he has a ton of talent, but we have not seen him put together a full season. We've seen him get outworked by Mayan. I mean, just, there's been things that just leave me a little bit of pause. Where are you at with Trev?
Durability is going to be a big concern. As an Ohio State fan,
Are you going to call like a DeAndre Swift type deal here, where there's
I'm not going to say that, because we have seen guys like figure out how then to take care of their body, like, and just beat father time. Like who just figured out Derrick Henry, the epitome of Jesus Christ. I'm not going to write this guy off until he says I'm retired.
Remember when I was like saying we should trade him away in 21? So,
it's a long time ago.
It's a long time ago.
I would just say this: in college, that has been his biggest knock. And you didn't see him play a real, like, complete full season until this past year, when he had another superstar running back with him, taking a lot of the work.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Like he broke onto the scene as a freshman, and we went, "Oh my God, this is the next coming!" Right? Like, this is RB1 whenever the fuck he decides to come out. And it was clear cut. Right? True. Now, I argued the Braylon Allen thing for the longest time because they're the same age, right? Braylon Allen ended up coming out last year. TreVeyon went back to school.
People were all on it this year.
But the last 2 years, his sophomore and junior year, like you said, you saw him seed work to Mayan Williams. You saw him get banged up and Why'd
you have to do that? Because he was coming in. Dude, but think about it, he was coming in like you had Zeke, right? You had JK, and it's like, okay, boom, we're locked and loaded again. We'll do the same thing. Trev, he's just gonna maybe break all the records again, and just from that standpoint, and he was regarded in that like wave, and he just hasn't delivered on the college side. He's delivered in moments, but to your point, injuries, not getting touches, he just has not been over the big picture the player that I think we've wanted to see. But my question to you, Mike, is he still talented enough to where like he could totally put the package together, to your point where you're talking about where this guy could end up being every bit as valuable as Jeanty if things hit the right end, the high end of the ceiling.
If you told me you could take his freshman year and make that 4 fucking years of college or 3 years of college, whatever the fuck, put it whatever,
sure.
Right, without the injury concern, okay?
Mm-hmm.
If he comes, I mean, he almost did it this year, but if he can replicate his freshman season, with Quinshon Judkins there and whatever the fuck else, and he did it his sophomore year, and you didn't have the injury concerns, no matter what fucking Jeanty did this year, TreVeyon Henderson would be the RB1.
Yeah, well, I mean, Jeanty wasn't regarded the same way early, obviously, with Boise. But, like, the point is, TreVeyon Henderson, I think, is it's kind of crazy how to think that he's just a name in this class now, where I'm not saying he shouldn't be. Like, it makes sense. It's warranted. But when I look at upside, in this class, Mike, I think I can't really argue anyone that has higher upside for the class. Now, you could argue that there's different conversations besides upside, but when I talk just pure upside,
take your injuries and prior feelings of TreVeyon Henderson away, right? Like, take that part away. You couldn't build a better running back in a lab than TreVeyon Henderson.
No. Nope.
You couldn't. Like Adam said, he's got the home run ability. We've seen that multiple fucking times. He did it at a premier school.
Remember when Texas thought they had a good thing going into half? How quick
he did it as a fucking 18-year-old, as a freshman, right? He does it through the air. He pass blocks. He runs routes.
And he can block.
He's explosive. He's got vision. He's got patience. He's got enough power. He has the requisite size. This dude's going to come in at 5'10", 5'11", 215 pounds. He might even be closer to 220 by the time the combine's here, if he's out there just working. To
your point, from a physical standpoint, there is nothing you're going to be able to knock about the kid. Promise you.
Absolutely not. Absolutely not.
That's a stone cold fact.
What's weighing on people is the fact that he went back to school, he split touches, and the injuries.
Sure. I mean, I'm not telling you that they shouldn't have concerns, and there's not some reason to be concerned, but what's the cost? What's the cost?
He's in the mix at RB3 for me, and it's just because of, like, damn. Is this going to – you said the terrible words, man. You said the terrible words that give me nightmares. Is he DeAndre Swift?
Yeah, I know, because you did it to me. I know what you were doing. I know what you did last summer.
I know what you did last
summer. Dude, that is what that reminded me of. I think people say what they want about Swift now. It's crazy. People really dislike the kid. It's kind of interesting to see that happen. Like, most people just aren't a fan anymore of him, which I don't really understand because he was so intriguing and everyone was enamored with him early in the process. He was very talented and he had big highlights in that year in Detroit before he got hurt in the game versus Pittsburgh, right on all the snow. They gave him like 30 carries, and he was having a great season. And then he's, had a nice little season in Chicago. But to the point, I think TreVeyon Henderson, if he was to hit, even has a little bit higher range of outcomes. But I will say there's a lot more concerning things. And ultimately in the NFL, right, if you can't do it at certain spots, like, can he actually earn the lion's share or something close enough to be where it matters in fantasy, right?
That's $1 million question. Is he going to come in and actually be a threat to be a 3-down back, right? To do it all, to get the lion's share of the work. Now, in today's NFL, that's, 60, 65% of the touches.
Sure.
But if he comes in and he's a 35, 40% guy, not exactly what you want. Well, like when you're talking about Jeanty, you're talking about Caleb Williams, you're talking about Amari and Hampton. Like these are guys that I think can come in and step in and be 60%ers, right? Can definitely do it. TreVeyon has the ability to do it. Is his health going to cooperate?
So
is his health going to cooperate to be a 60%er?
Here's the truth of the matter, right? I think about it this way. What's keeping him from being Braylon Allen is snap share and someone else in front of him. Can he earn the touches? He's Braylon Allen where, geez, if Breece Hall, something happened to him and all of a sudden he got all the touches, it'd be great. But even then, then there's another guy, right? Then there's Davis is getting touches. And that would be the low end concerning point for me, where he just never gets enough of the work to where all that talent can matter. But Mike, what if he stepped into a role where he's, splitting work, backup, and then boom, injury? You could see that dude go crazy if he got 200 touches.
Go fucking ham. Go ham. Go ham.
So let me ask you then, on the other side, or the newer acquisition, Quinshon Judkins, when at Ole Miss, was all the rave. All the kids were. They needed some Quinshon. Where are you at with him? Let me ask you and give the people the real spill.
Very, very solid running back. And here's an old school comp for him. Whenever I watch Quinshon play, I'm kind of reminded of what like Marshawn Lynch was back in the day.
That's a high end comp, but I like where you're at because I'll say he continued this year when in those certain moments to like, damn, motherfucker he plays violent. He's aggressive. Yes. He wants it. He wants the contact, and he thrives off of like getting big hits and letting people know, nah, I'm not going down like that.
Tough to bring down. Probably not the greatest in the pass game. You do have some question marks, but serviceable. Can do it. But just fucking violent, right? And it's one of those guys.
It's crazy.
One of those guys when you watch Quinshon, and I don't know where he's going to actually weigh in, but he's always. It's interesting when you watch some running backs. Because when I watch Quinshon, I'm like, this motherfucker 235, and I bet when he goes to the combine, he's like 210, 250.
I think he's gonna be like 215. Yeah, I'm with you.
Which like Marshawn Lynch was kind of like that. Like when you watch Marshawn Lynch play and just like his build and the way he carries himself, you're like Marshawn Lynch is like 230 pounds, and he's like 210 his entire career. Right?
For what it's worth, I'm seeing a lot of like upper teens, 218, 219, 220.
That's fair. That's fair for him. Doesn't have the greatest long speed. He's way more of a concern.
That part is for sure. If there's a knock, and there is, that he does not have like take the top off speed. He's fine. He's just not going to run away from everybody.
And I think he's completely fine in the passing game. I think he's completely fine as a pass blocker. What you love about him is just the violence,
the grit,
as a running back.
Absolutely.
Right. Now, sometimes that violence leads you to getting banged up and having a very short fucking career. But for Marshawn Lynch, it worked out for a long time. But that's kind of where, listen, you want to comp for him? That's kind of what I see when I watch him. I'm like, you just fucking love watching the guy run. Like, fuck you, here's a stiff arm, I'm going to juke you a little bit here, then I'm going to run through this corner's face. And, you think the linebacker is going to fucking take me down? No, sir, you better bring a friend.
You brought this? This is all you brought?
Yeah. Like, I love that kind of fucking attitude from a running back, and Quinshon definitely has it. He did it at the SEC, when he was young as a freshman and a sophomore, and then you see him go to Ohio State, and he does it there. He got the fucking bag from Ohio State, I would imagine, in the transfer portal.
Oh, yeah.
And it didn't matter. He got paid, he still went out and fucking produced.
Did you hear the story? They kind of talked about it in the college football playoff. TreVeyon Henderson was saying how Ryan Day called him like, what do you think about bringing in Quinshon? Because Quinshon wanted to come and he wanted to give the kid the call before just making the move. He said, I'll call you back. Let me think on it. Called him back the next day. Didn't like it. He basically said I didn't like it at all. But you know what, man? Like, what am I gonna do? Tell him no, it's my backfield? Like, you gotta learn to deal with it. And I don't know. I think there's a aspect there where I respect that, but it's also like, damn, man, I don't want you just ceding work to random people. I want you in fantasy to go crazy.
You definitely want to see that. So I like Quinshon. You hope he gets, second round, early third round draft capital to a team that's going to use him kind of as that 60%er.
Mm-hmm.
He might only be a first and second down kind of guy in the NFL. Like, I don't know if he'll be a third down kind of guy, but still, it's one of those guys, like, you're like, at the end of the day, he's still getting 60% of the touches. I don't really give a shit that it's not all on third down, or he's not a super pass catching threat, because the guy could be a threat for double digit touchdowns.
I was just going to say, you need, he's a guy, I think, where it breaks right. If you're talking upside, he has to land in the situation where, like the Lions, right? You land in a situation where we're scoring. Oh, buddy, Quinshon could fucking just murder people.
And in this class, kind of like we were talking about earlier, if he gets requisite draft capital, this is a dude you're going to get at the 110, 111, 112, maybe in the early part of the second round, maybe in the mid part of the second round, right? Kind of depending on how the rest of it shakes out. So,
that's what I was going to ask you. So where would you, if you were just to kind of ballpark it, like tier-wise or roughly, where do you put him in the mix of this big running back class that we're looking at?
This is so fucking tough. I actually haven't sat down and done my rookie rankings, which, by the way, is going to be included. Our rookie ranks will all be included. You get to see each individual person's rookie ranks and the composite in the draft guide. If I had to sit down, like right now, as I evaluate the running back class, it's like Jeanty. I can fully acknowledge this. Jeanty is the one. Very close tier 2 right now with the study is going to be Caleb and Amarian. And then from TreVeyon to Quinshon to fucking Ollie Gordon, Cam Scatabo, like insert all these other guys. It's just a massive fucking tier of dudes. So for pre-NFL draft purposes in your rookie drafts, it's just pick your dude, man. Like whatever one you get a value on, throw a fucking dart at him. Like, because you don't really know. Post-NFL, once you get a little bit more clarity on draft capital and landing spot, like I think it'll shake out a little bit more clear. But right now it's a giant tier from fucking 4 through, let's say, 12.
Yeah.
Feels pretty safe. 4 through 12 feels like you put up Quinshon and then you put up RB12 in this class. I'm going to talk just as glowingly about them too.
I know. Well, I'm going to keep them coming. But to me, see, that's where...
You already had fucking Dylan Sampson on there, and I like me some Dylan Sampson. I like me some Devin fucking Neal.
I'll tell you what. Well, here
I like all these guys.
Talk Dylan Sampson. I'm gonna pull that up, and I got a lost and forgotten. I feel like really strongly coming up after that. But go ahead and talk a little Dylan Sampson, because I feel like he's very, very unknown, and I kind of like his game, to be honest with you.
So this time last year, there's a lot of people out there hyping up Jalen Wright.
Yes.
Right. And I watched Jalen Wright, no pun intended, right? I just did a double right. I watched Jalen Wright, and I fell in love with him, right? The game-breaking speed, the ability to do it. I watched Dylan Sampson this year, and it's everything I loved about Jalen Wright, but somehow better. And I don't... Now, if you look at Jalen Wright in the NFL, he had opportunity, right? You remember when Achan, was concussed or whatever the fuck he had. Mostert was still working his way back. It was supposed to be the Jalen Wright show on like Monday nights, and it ended up
when Mostert was banged up early, he's getting old. You're like, all right, Jalen Wright's gonna get his little shot here,
and he really didn't. They got fucking blown out. He barely got any touches. He had a couple moments during the season, but overall, it was. Somehow it almost felt as gross as Marshawn Lloyd, which was really tough to do. Like it was really tough to do. It just didn't deliver. So a lot of people are going to have that bad taste in their mouth, but I'll tell you, Dylan Sampson is just different. He's bigger. I would say he's probably just as fast and just as explosive. I think he's better in the passing game. I think he's better as a pass blocker. He can get on the field a little bit more often. He's definitely in that mix for RB4. Now, I wouldn't quite put him there. Like, everybody else is going to have Quinshon and TreVeyon and, Ollie Gordon or whoever else, like bigger names that we've seen it. Like you said, he's kind of the unknown. I think he deserves to be in that conversation. It'll be interesting to see what the NFL does, because the Tennessee offense, if you're not a college football fan, is kind of a little. I'm not gonna say gimmicky.
It's definitely gimmicky though. It is.
Okay, it's definitely more different than what you have seen. Like, you think when you line up in four wide, like everybody has the picture of how they line up in four wide. These motherfuckers will stack two receivers on each side on the sidelines, like the legit sidelines, and then have the widest splits you've ever seen for offensive line, like just wide splits. And it creates all these fucking problems for the defense because they literally spread the field horizontally. We talk about Cliff Kingsbury running his NFL offense horizontally.
Sure.
What they run at Tennessee is definitely the epitome of a horizontal offense with shots downfield. So all these Tennessee running backs like Jalen Wright last year, you're going to see where they only got 5 guys in the box and they have wide open fucking running lanes all the time. So their speed does come into question, legitimate speed. But I would say he actually has it, and he's got bigger size than Jalen Wright. But I like what I see out of him. His vision looks okay on film. Like, it looks adequate. I want to see if he can actually put it together at the NFL level, though.
All right. I want to get to this one here. So it's kind of crazy considering, right, the rules. You think about TreVeyon Henderson, right? Now, granted, it was only 1 year. But imagine if there was a world where TreVeyon Henderson, as talented as he was, kills it freshman year. He's going to the league. He's going to the league. Like, he's just there. He's going early. Ollie Gordon, last year, I mean, the fucking game put him at 99 overall. For God's sakes, right?
Yes.
Now, people may not really understand. Oklahoma State had a good record. Their team last year and this year. I mean, Mike, when I say woof, holy fuck, this team was bad this year. They won 3 games early, and that was basically it.
Terrible.
Awful. So his year obviously kind of goes like the squad, and it's not the same as it was the year prior. He still declares. I'm kind of curious if that was the right move. Maybe he didn't get a lot of NIL money, but I don't know. What do you think of this kid? Do you think he's got some issues because of the size, or where are you at with him?
By all accounts, we talked about it with Debra a little bit last week, and we talked about it on a couple of shows. By all accounts, for his size, 233 at the Senior Bowl, he moved very well. Very, very well. If you just look at 2023, Ollie Gordon was going to be the number 1 fucking running back in the class. No question.
That's what I'm saying. Like, him and Trevor had years out of their minds.
No matter what, even if Jonathan Brooks had stayed healthy and not tore his ACL, Ollie Gordon was going to be the number 1 running back in the class last year.
I feel bad because we didn't get to see Brooks do much, but I know it's the injuries, but he's not the talent level of some of these other guys. I'm sorry.
Ollie Gordon was the fucking truth. You talk about catching the ball, you talk about the size, you talk about breakaway ability. He did everything that you want. He was the prototypical. You look at this year, and you touched on it. The biggest question mark I have is the offensive line was very experienced. They brought almost everybody back, if not everybody. I mean, you can fact check me on that one, but they brought back the whole fucking offensive line.
I think there was 4 or 5, but I was just reading up on this. But I will say they look nothing like it.
They brought back Bowman at quarterback, who was experienced for him, but he regressed massively. His backups were dog shit, terrible. The whole fucking offense just looked out of sync.
Yep.
Here's probably like the shining light because it was an overall just poopy season for Ollie Gordon. Remember, he got suspended earlier in the year too, right? Sure. Like, he got a little bit of a big head from the year before.
Yeah, they put him 99. They put you 99 in the game. You're a young kid. You're talking like Barry Sanders, Oklahoma State guy. Come on, anyone would fall for it. Come on. Earlier.
The offense majorly regressed, but he did have some pretty big games towards the end of the year where you're like, okay, there's the fucking Ollie Gordon from 2023.
That's that guy.
I would say if he would have showed up at the Senior Bowl at 233 and moved like shit and didn't do anything at the Senior Bowl and everybody was putting him as their biggest loser.
You're worried more?
Yeah, you're fucking hitting the eject button.
Well, where are you now then? You're not hitting the eject button, that sounds like it. Give me the... Okay, that's where you're not. Where are you?
Right now, 5. He's at 5.
I bet you that's higher than almost everybody right now.
There's a lot of people out there who still really love Ollie Gordon. I'm one of the bunch. There's a lot of people who are very questionable about Ollie Gordon. I think he's probably, if you want to talk about rookie NFL running back prospects coming in, is probably the biggest, diversion between the two.
Well, the thing is with him, when you look at the range of outcomes, people are going to point to like that the low end is just something they'd rather not take relative to there's a lot of great options in this class, I think. And that's a very basic way to look at it. But you look at the guy the size, I think there's a lot of traits where you're like, damn, he could be special. But I think there's some concern that at the next level, if he's not really moving fast enough, that size isn't going to matter enough. I think that's really what people are thinking, you know?
Yeah. I'm trying to think of that fucking guy who was at Tennessee, and this is years ago. He ended up playing on the Eagles for a little bit. God, I can't think of his name, but I'll go to another one. Isaiah Crowell. You remember him? He was on the Browns.
How would I forget Crowell? And then, you know, the Jets, of course.
Crowell was the number one recruit coming out of fucking high school, goes to Georgia, has a pretty decent freshman year, gets in trouble, gets fucking suspended, kicked off the fucking team.
Right.
Goes to like a Division II, school out of fucking
what was
nowhere.
That school? Fuck, I forget it now. Damn it. You're right.
He went into fucking oblivion, ended up going as a UDFA in the draft, right? Like the range of outcomes for Ollie Gordon is actually that. It is from Ollie Gordon being a pretty decent second round draft capital kind of player to shit, Ollie Gordon went in the 6th round. Right? That's
what I was going to ask you. Do you buy into this where he could like almost fall out of the draft? Like that seems crazy to me. I feel like round 4, round 5 is where I feel like it could free fall stop. But yeah, I've seen some mocks, Mike, where he's not in it. And now, granted, there's not many 7-round mocks yet, but we're talking round 3. He's not even mentioned. There's some people that have him on their big board outside the top 150.
Yeah, I definitely think he could be there. He could definitely fall out of it because of the depth of the running back class.
That scares the fucking shit out. You imagine you declare for the draft and you don't fucking get drafted.
But the best part about this fucking class, at least in 2025, is fucking great, and especially for people doing pre-NFL rookie drafts.
Okay.
There's a lot of guys that fit this bill. There's a lot of guys. I mean, I'm not saying Jeanty, Tet, worst case scenario for him, I see him in like the 20s, right? For draft capital in the NFL, right?
The draft capital so far, we will see. I think the combine will tell a lot too, because
Shedeur, you get to Shedeur, I could also see him fall into the 20s, right? Like that could happen. Cam Ward could fall out of the 1st round. Like so, as soon as you get past,
so? I feel like that's not happening.
Yes,
I feel like I could see him go late first, though. I do.
But there's a wide range of outcomes for almost everybody in this fucking class, and it just gets exasperated the deeper you go, right? You start talking about people's RB 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, whatever. All of a sudden, you're talking about guy could go 2nd round.
What about?
But he could also go, UDFA.
Do you get it with Jordan James?
I do not get it.
I really struggle, dude. Mike, I'm seeing Jordan James go round 2. I
don't get it with him.
I watched them a fair amount of college. I didn't watch a ton, just busy. I watched several games with them. I don't see special. I see a guy.
I do not.
I see a guy. He's fine. He's.
Yep.
I just don't see any real upside with all the running backs in this class. I just don't get it here, bro. I just think he's a guy.
The production is good. I just don't see it.
Of course, it's Oregon, for God's sakes.
I just don't see it when I turn on the film. And when you turn on the film for him, I actually think his teammate Noah Whittington is better, like a better NFL prospect. And I don't get it with Jordan James. It was one of the most interesting ones, too, when he declared. Like, somebody somewhere told him that you're good. Like, come on out.
For sure.
And
you think you got some bad advice, huh?
Well, I'm willing to be surprised and willing to adjust to it. But if you want to talk pre-NFL drafts versus post-NFL drafts, this could be one of the guys that I end up with almost no shares of the pre-NFL draft.
Interesting.
And then depending what the NFL does, maybe you got, a handful, 3 or 4 in your other rookie draft.
Just give the people a little clarity as to why you say that.
It's just he's one of those dudes where it just doesn't excite you. So when you're picking in round 4 or 5 of a pre-NFL draft, there's other prospects out there where I could tell myself a story. They have this trait or they have this trait, or I could see them in a role, or we talked about Debro with so many of these wide receivers in rounds 4 and 5, which I just don't know. Like Jalen Royals, you talked about the Iowa State kids, Jack Besh. Like, there's a lot of these dudes out there that their names are going to stick in my fucking head when I'm picking round 4 and 5. Like, man, I remember Debro hyping him up, like talking about him at the Senior Bowl and seeing him versus other people. And, all I need is just a decent draft capital or an opportunity for those are the guys I'm going to take. And the tight end class is also so fucking deep. The tight end class is ridiculously deep. So those are the kind of picks you're going to make in my pre-NFL rookie drafts, right? Like the ones beforehand. The Jordan Jameses of the world, I'm like, if I can pick him up as UDFA and just pray he gets some NFL draft capital, I'm good. But post-NFL rookie drafts, you're going to sit there and you're going to know, right? If
that's round okay. 4. To the point you're talking about here, I think the biggest thing for me is when I'm looking pre or post, frankly, but if I'm looking later on, right, I'm looking at myself and saying, okay, if the guy ends up hitting the high end range of outcomes or closer to that, right? Like, what am I really getting out of this if I get a hit? I don't really care if he just gets work and he's kind of just meh. I'm not saying that he's only could be that. I feel like that's what I'm a little bit more concerned with. I'd rather shoot my shot and completely miss. Swing for the home run and fucking strike out bad than, hit a little single in the running back landscape, which this year, Mike, I'll tell you this much. A single is not going to be seen or heard because there's going to be some fucking absolute home runs hit this year.
Yep. Some Adam Dunn fucking bombs.
Bye-bye. Absolutely.
450.
I mean, I don't know. That's the way I'm thinking about it. Is that same for you or different at all?
Same thing, buddy. Same thing.
Okay. Devin Neal.
Stud. I love Devin Neal.
Okay.
Devin Neal too.
I thought I was alone, and oh boy, this is kind of scary. When Mike and I are this aligned on somebody, it's like, fuck.
I'm ready to get hurt by all the Devin Neal I'm going to have. That's inevitably just going to break my heart.
Well,
right? Like,
I'm not that hurt about it, though.
I'm going to take way too much Devin Neal.
The cost again is not the running backs in this class to me are going to be, because there's such a plethora. Like, they're not going to be cost prohibitive. Like, if I bust, it's fine, right?
Mid seconds, probably like early third at worst for Devin Neal is what you're going to have to spend to get him in your pre-NFL rookie drafts with no draft capital in there. And I'm going to spend it all day.
Like, that's not even that's not even a question for me, dude, frankly.
All fucking day, man. You want to talk about a guy like this is Aaron Jones if Aaron Jones weighed, 15 pounds, 20 pounds more.
You know what? I like that comp because he does. He has I don't know. I think there's a lot about his game that's kind of just completely missed. Maybe because he plays for Kansas. I think he's smooth too, man.
Very, very fucking smooth. I love watching Kansas football.
That is something you did not expect to say, but here we go.
Now, Kansas football with Jalen Daniels at quarterback, very, very good. Kansas football with that other guy.
Makes you think like, hey, this is a basketball school, ain't it?
Yes. With Jalen Daniels in there, and this is why playing with him in the college football video game is so much fun. That offense is fucking fun.
Yeah, it is.
Now the coaching staff does have some question marks. Thor brought this up many fucking times. What the fuck are we doing? Why are we calling this? Like, they are actively trying to lose games at times.
This is a good point by Matty
flat
Gomes.
Out produced.
This is a good point by Matty Gomes that I hate to rain on parades, but I just want, Mike, this is one of the things I remember vividly with 23, where like, man, I'm not going to say it's the exact same, but we're saying a lot of positive things about a lot of the guys there. I think this class is better, frankly. Okay, I just want to say that. Maybe not at the top end because we had Gibbs and fucking Bijan, so you're not beating that. But remember how they all just kept getting drafted later than we wanted, and where fucking there's already 2 or 3 players, and you're like, why? Yep. That's the possible range of outcomes where, I mean, there's only a handful of 1A even guys in the NFL anymore. Devin Neal, though, to me is a much more complete back, I think, than people probably realize, frankly.
He came in at the Senior Bowl much bigger than I thought too. I thought 210.
Yeah.
Dude's well over 220.
I mean,
bald.
What Debro didn't seem as, I know he was high on Brashard Smith and all that, but like, he didn't seem as glowing as I was hoping. What are your thoughts?
So this is always the fun thing, and D-Bro brought it up last week too. Sometimes there's some analysis that comes out of the Senior Bowl, and it's like, were we even at the same Senior Bowl? But I take everything I have, and I throw it into a pot. And even though D-Bro wasn't out there hyping up Devin Neal, he also didn't poo-poo him and say like,
Sure.
oh, he was dog shit or really under-delivered. Maybe he just didn't pop in his mind as much as, Rashad Smith and some of the other running backs that he was talking about. There are plenty of people out there who were at the Senior Bowl that I also trust that just fucking raved about Devin Neal. They said his feet were the best in the fucking class by far.
Yep. And I think his feet are phenomenal.
Yes. Yes. That's why I say like the Aaron Jones thing. Aaron Jones has got stupid good feet.
That's true.
Stupid good feet.
No, Aaron Jones is a nice little comp too, because I feel like Devin Neal has that same type of surprise factor where you might have heard the name if you played, C2C or you've been paying attention to college football, but I feel like nobody really knows the game of Devin Neal,
Yep, just breaking off chunks left and right.
All right, Mike, let's get to another TreVeyon kind of ish story where, like, Donovan Edwards, early in the process, young kid, guy's supposed to be just absolutely the Himothy type of running back. We're at the point now where, he even said recently, I'm really looking to prove to everybody that I still am that guy that they don't think I am anymore. I'm paraphrasing. It was something like that. Where are you at with Donovan Edwards? Because this is honestly kind of a very weird and interesting story, honestly.
Once upon a time, I had Donovan Edwards as the RB1 if he would have come out last year. Right?
I know. That's what I'm saying. Honestly, he feels like not very long ago, and I know time flies. He feels like it's not very long ago I was regarding him as like, go get this guy at all cost.
Yes.
Like honestly, a little over a year ago, probably a year and a half ago.
And the last 2 years have not been that. He's had moments. He's had moments on big stages. You remember the college
he's had
football
off the field
2 years ago.
Now he's just
Yep. He also has a giant problem like Trey Benson sometimes when you watch him. Like, what are you looking at? Why did you just run in the back? Yeah. Where are you fucking going? From a guy
help me see what you saw. Help me see what you saw there.
From a guy we comped as DeAndre Swift, 2.0 to now, like, God, I hope he's a better NFL player than he was a college player. Like, you hope he just fits into a system that's right for him.
Well, that's the thing about Donovan Edwards. I'm glad you said that. To me, this is one of those where I think it could hit right at the right system, but he's also probably going to drive a coach completely nuts in certain situations. And he's not going to have the draft capital to afford him the ability to drive a fucking coach nuts in the NFL, dude. I'm sorry. Like, that's where the system, I think, is actually big here.
I just don't fucking see it. I mean, we talked a little bit about Rashad Smith on here. I'd have Rashad Smith over him.
Where do you put him then? Like, what is your level of interest?
Dude, he's outside the top 12. Damn. Pretty easily. From a guy who was RB1 to outside the top 12, that's not a good range to be.
What makes you put him outside the top 12?
I'd rather have Taj Brooks, Devin Neal, Rashad Smith. Like, just name those running backs. So there's so many other good ones that I don't have as many concerns about and aren't hyped up by their name.
Damn it, you just got
once upon a time.
You got me all limp. I was hoping you had a little more. I think if the cost, Mike, is we're getting to late round territory in rookie drafts, this is a money shot that you expect to fuck up. You kind of go with the expectation that this is gonna bust. But god damn it, Mike, if this hits, we're talking lotto type shit.
He's probably you're right on that aspect. He's gonna end up being my Rasheen Ali.
There you go. And listen, I talked about Rasheen Ali way too much last offseason.
Yes, with the expectation that this is a fucking zero burger.
But this guy was, one thing is the running back position is a little bit more than just your talent, but I don't think he's not talented. I just think there's a vision problem, and I think there's a him problem. And I don't know if the him problem's ready to be solved.
There's also a scheme problem, just the way they utilize him in that Michigan offense.
It's kind of crazy to see how far out of favor he fell with a lot of people when he's out there with like a broken fucking hand and just, it's just, it is what it is. But
there's less talented running backs in Michigan outshining him. Mullings is nothing special. I think we've made it pretty readily apparent, at least in the NFL now, that Blake Corum is not anything like super special. Even though I bought into
I don't know.
shit.
I was just told by two fellas a week ago, this is the Blake Corum time. Like, come on.
I don't know. Maybe.
You guys, I wasn't there with it, but you guys were excited. I mean, I don't know. I'm with you. Corum's a system guy. Corum's fine. He's going to make all the correct plays, but he's not somebody that's going to, talent-wise destroy an NFL team. He's going to make all the right plays, though. He's going to be a coach's wet dream,
There you go. Coach's wet dream.
Donovan Edwards is not going to be that. There's a few more running backs in this class. I'm not going to pull up all the graphics just because I'm still working on some. Where are you at with Giddens out of Kent State?
Interesting one. Something that you got to do more film dive on, though. Right?
I am
not a lot of Kansas State games being watched.
I don't know. I feel like I've watched a little bit. He feels a little. I'm a little hybrid concerned. Like, remember that feeling we had with Rashad White? Like he's just going to get tackled by everybody. That's kind of my concern right now. Feeling. I'm not saying him for sure. I haven't watched enough yet. I'm still early in the process. But how about then also? Let me see here. Well, okay, do you buy into the hype here? The Heisman, the self-declared Scatabo?
Oh, I don't know. Like even with the so-called experts, sometimes with the running backs, like I seen some shit where 3 weeks ago he's dog shit, no one likes him. And then I see them breaking down the film of him a couple weeks later, talking about how he's the greatest thing since sliced bread. I don't fucking understand.
I will say he right now to me is he's the most interesting man in the world, honestly. Like I've seen to your point, the range of outcomes is or the range of like the way people view him. I keep seeing in a lot of big spaces, and this is maybe just the way that certain media outlets work. Like he's a top 3 running back in this class, and I'm like, it's actually nothing against him. I think he's fine. I think he's actually a pretty damn good running back. It's just I think this class has on the high end level quite a bit of talent. So I don't know. I'm kind of in the middle with him. I feel like he's like a 5 to 7. Downside
is Toby Gerhart, right?
Dear God. I hope for Toby's sake he's better than that,
Or who was the Rutgers running back / fullback? Played for the bank. Oh, Brian Leonard.
Oh wow. That's a pull. Jesus.
You like that one? Brian Leonard.
Mike gets all drunk and gets in his bag on fucking player remembering.
Upside is you hope he's a multi-year Peyton Hillis.
I was gonna say that was my comp of like, can he stay healthy, Peyton Hillis?
Can he stay healthy, Peyton Hillis?
Where are you at with Woody Marks?
USC is always fucking interesting with that offense.
I hate it. It's impossible to know.
It's impossible to fucking know.
Dude, he did some things. In certain games he looks electric. And he kind of just disappears too.
The LSU game this year, you're like, who the fuck is this guy? Right? Like, who the fuck is this guy? This is Woody Marks. Oh, he's kind of nice, right? And then you don't hear much from him outside of like, plays like fucking UCLA or some shit. You're like, okay. All right, there's Woody Marks. But there's too much up and down, and the USC system is always tough to judge. It always is. Right? We got convinced Zachariah Branch's freshman year was going to be...
It's really hard, dude. I kind of hate it.
Zachariah Branch was going to be the next coming of Reggie Bush, with just that wide receiver.
I'm going to rattle a couple off here before we dip out, just to give a little bit of a teaser here. Teaser time. How about Martinez, Damian Martinez?
Very interesting one. Another
dude, I'm starting to actually get. I'm getting a little bit hot and bothered. I'm sorry.
He's a fucking tank. He's a fucking tank.
Dude, the image I have for him, I'm working on is he's literally got his hand on his ear. He's like wanting the crowd, and he's getting shoved, but he's not getting moved. It's fucking awesome. He's a specimen, honestly.
Yes, he is. I'm very interested in Damian Martinez, but again, it's one of those guys that's, for him, he probably doesn't have the top end of, RB4 in this class.
But that's okay. That's a good point, and I think I'm glad you made it, because I think it's okay to say this running back class is deep. He just needs to land in the right spot, and if I'm getting him at RB8, RB10, RB12 discounted enough, I think he's got a lot of the a little bit of that Quinshon mentality in him too. Like
he does. My comp for him is more Tyler Algier.
I like that.
Without the you remember
without the fake 40 and the slow.
Yeah, correct.
Dude, that was insane.
it felt like we discovered fire with Tyler Algier before the combine. Like, nobody knows about this guy. This is the dude. This is the guy we love. Damian Martinez is a little bit more known commodity, but he's got that Tyler Algier to him, where it's
because he got blessed by Cam.
If you thought Tyler Algier was just a very, very solid running back, who runs a 4.5, that's Damian Martinez.
Okay. All right. So quick here, Jaden Blue. Where are you at?
The biggest problem I'm going to have with him, he had every fucking opportunity to be the absolute fucking guy. Now he had moments.
He has honestly, he's like TreVeyon light to me, where not quite as talented, but the similar type of vibe from his career outlook. I have concerns. I'm not as high on him as Trev, but I think he had the opportunity to be him and just wasn't quite that.
He just wasn't, and he ceded all the work to Wisner down the stretch.
Yeah, and everything at the goal line or close to it was like get Jadon off the field. That I don't like seeing, frankly.
Nope, you don't like seeing getting pulled for a fucking freshman.
A
freshman that
most people may not even
heralded.
have recognized. Most people may not even have known that. So good. I'm glad you kind of broke them up. What about Brooks? Taj Brooks.
Taj Brooks is going to be a fucking interesting one. I've seen people all over the map. I love Taj Brooks.
I'm all over the map. I've gone up and down. I don't know what to
A lot of people hate Taj Brooks.
We need to watch film.
Taj Brooks is going to be a nice film fucking watch. Now he's got the size. Obviously, that's readily apparent with him.
Yeah. Yep.
Again, another guy that kind of struggles with long speed. You do have question marks in the passing game. You have question marks about pass protection. He could be one of those. How about Trey Benson for him? Where there's a lot of intangibles to Taj Brooks that's going to make him very, very sexy and appealing. The film's going to tell the story on whether this guy can actually find a hole or not.
Pause. Dear God. Okay, how about Jarquez Hunter?
That's another one. He's kind of getting propped up.
He's getting a lot of buzz.
SEC. He's getting a lot of buzz because of the SEC thing, right?
Yeah,
doing it
true.
at Auburn.
True.
A lot like Jordan James, though, where I just don't.
I feel like he's a little
it.
bit. I'm a little more intrigued than Jordan James, but I kind of have the exact same thing. Like, I get the idea, but it's still kind of just meh.
You want to talk about finding a hole? Makes me flaccid. Just expected.
I don't see the finding or the hole or the end of it.
Who is that? Who is that dude on Michael Dye on their championship team?
Michael Dye, is that what it was? I can't.
Is it Michael Dye?
You could be
Or
right.
number 5?
Yeah.
Back in the day in the Cam team.
Uh-huh.
Where he's less exciting than him, and he turned out to be fucking nothing.
Damn, that's okay. All right. Well, good thing we didn't make the graphic. I thought there was one. Oh, God, why can I never remember his name? Rutgers.
That's the guy. That's the dude. Good luck.
I
want to
talk about him though. I want to talk about
Monogonai?
Monogonai. There you go. Monogonai. Yep.
There you go.
I
like that.
Right?
People hyped up fucking Isaiah Pacheco. I think this is a better Isaiah Pacheco, man.
Dude, well, okay.
Now he just doesn't run as funny.
He doesn't.
But he's a fucking tank.
Dude, listen. This is a fucking.
He does it all.
He is a beast. Like,
he was their whole fucking offense, man. I love that kid.
No, I kind of started to get a little more intrigued by him towards the end of the season, and then I'm like, okay, he fucking blew up by the time I got that level. So, I haven't seen a lot with draft capital though associated to the level of talent I think he is. Honestly, that's my concern.
I would say with him, kind of when we talked about Jordan James, like another reason that I won't be drafting Jordan James is because I can get him. I can get him in the 5th round. 4th round.
Yeah. I mean, listen.
I'd much rather have him.
He's 5'9", 210, but I promise you look at the dude, he does not look like a 5'9", 210. Trying to think, 5'9", 210, that's like Doug Martin-ish, no?
Michael Dyer. God damn it. I was
Michael
close.
Dyer. I was like, I knew it didn't, I knew it sounded correct-ish, but not correct.
The Oregon thing. He had Travis Dye and...
There you go.
He had his brother.
Okay, Doug Martin was 5'9", 223. Damn. Muscle hamster for real.
I still can't believe he didn't like that nickname.
I mean, he just Mike, if you call me something that I'm kind of not a fan of, if I come on here and tell everyone like just stop calling me, the chat's gonna go crazy. Mike's gonna be Fizz is gonna make it into a rap song. Like, what are you doing? Just let it play out.
Just looking at this Auburn national championship roster.
Yeah.
It's a lot of fucking nobodies. Cam Newton.
Dude, Cam's path is kind of crazy too, right? The stealing of the laptops and the getting out of Florida, having to go through the muck again to get to Auburn, and just absolutely him. That entire he hemmed the entire season and made that game versus Oregon not even all that close by himself.
His starting wide receivers were Terrell Zachary and Darvin Adams.
If you don't know who those guys are, you shouldn't, because that was about the end of their career.
His tight end was Philip Lutzenkirchen.
He had a hell of a.
I remember that guy.
Yeah, he. What was their running back? I can't think of his name now. Damn it. Not that I should probably really know it that much.
And then people would be like, "Well, he's carried by the defense." There's only 2 dudes on this fucking starting defense I even remember being in the NFL.
I mean, that game versus. I mean, they were good. I'm not gonna act like they weren't a good defense, but like. That game versus Oregon wasn't like they were out here just, going Philadelphia versus the Chiefs on it or anything. No. He had to earn a lot of his shit.
Goddamn.
You can hate on Cam, and I get a lot of the hate towards him in certain degrees, but the dude was outrageous in that year. And I still think, Mike, the 2015 season, obviously there's the fumble, not diving. The 2015 season he put together was honestly not really fucking real.
There'll always only be 2 things I hate about Cam.
Okay. The text?
The text.
I knew that was one.
Number 1.
I knew that was one.
And the number 2 isn't even Cam's fault.
Okay.
It's just the fact all those people who were dick riding and when Mac Jones got drafted and were like, Cam's not going to start. I'm like, they just took fucking Mac Jones, dude. He's fucking starting.
Well, I will say that. Okay. Cam, that's not your. That was Mac's fire. Mac's fire lit a fire under Mike's ass. I'll never forget how awesome it was when Mike was just. From that day forward, Mike was fucking just obnoxiously mean to the poor soul, and he just beat his ass. It was bad.
Yeah,
it was bad. It was awesome, actually. Is Max Fire still in that league? He probably is, huh?
Maybe. Might have left.
He got super quiet after that. The worst part was like Mike owned him so bad. He was a big obnoxious, like always talking in league chat, and then the guy just went soft. He just went completely soft after that. Max Fire, if you're out there,
he's still
nothing but respect, man. Nothing but respect. You let the guy make you go hella quiet, man.
He's still in the league. Unlike, what was that, Sean 12? That guy?
Dude, so that guy, get this, finds out he lives in Wadsworth, Ohio, which, Mike, is a town over. And the dude is just, Sean 12, I'm sure you don't watch because we were never jiving and vibing. I was like, damn, man, you live around the corner and you putting a bad name on us. He was always crying. I've never seen somebody so disgruntled and always have something wrong with an entire league by himself. Like he's the only one out of 12 for a year and a half. Till Mike took his lunch. Anyway, all right, that's enough for me today. Listen, today's been crazy. Got the new internet here. It took a lot. It was a crazy day. My daughter was wanting to go outside. It's freezing cold to watch this whole thing, but we're here and we are ready to rock.
We did
25,
have
dude.
A couple super chats that we didn't answer, so we should get to those real quick.
Oh yeah, I got them starred. I just forgot about it. Tiger King. Okay, we'll start here. 12 team Superflex, half PPR.
Fucking waste them.
BTJ or James Cook and Adunze. Okay, I need content. Oh, we got content. 12 team start. 10. Okay, this is honestly a thread the needle of what I think this comes down to your cup of tea. Do you like having the asset of BTJ to kind of now potentially move into that elite bracket? Or are you going to just kind of ride the chips out with Cook and Adunze? I feel like there's enough there to where you just set it and forget it. No, you're going to have to just... Like, Cook's not going to have a big market this offseason. Adunze is, again, you're going to hold. But you kind of let the value play out in your lineup. I think I could go either way here.
BTJ's got the market value. James Cook is severely underrated for the
100%.
Gives you.
His dynasty market's not going to correct though. He just went for how many touchdowns did he have this year? Everyone's watching him just go crazy. Nobody gave a shit.
Nobody cared. Nobody cared.
I was actually going through this. His dynasty market and like startups at least right now, like is completely unchanged after that season. That's insane.
Guy just goes out and produces on Buffalo of all teams.
Like on the right, they got Josh Allen. You're seeing him go crazy and
18 fucking touchdowns from James Cook.
If it wasn't for Jahmyr Gibbs, he's number one in the league. And people are like, he's my RB10, you know.
1,000 yards rushing, 32 catches, 258
7th round,
yards.
6th round, 7th round. That's fine. Whatever. Maybe I'll take him. The problem is Cook and Odunze, you nuke your market ability, right? Yes, Odunze's a hold, and James Cook's not going to just get you anywhere. So this is one of those where if you feel like this is the best you can get for BTJ and you want to just split the asset, cool. But I totally would get also potentially tearing up to play 4D because BTJ, dude, I've seen people just fawning over him all the time, and his market's crazy. So I'll take the L on BTJ for that.
I think at 2 days before Valentine's Day, I'm going to hold on to BTJ here. That's what I want.
You guys got a thing. All right, fair enough.
Yeah, hey. We got a thing, man. Speaking of like people fawning over them, I still do NFL all day, the NFT thing, which I still don't get NFTs, but it doesn't matter. It makes me money, and I like it. I got BTJ moments. I bought BTJ moments for fucking $3, rookie moments that he had. And every day this offseason so far, I get an email that says you have a new offer, 100 Brian Thomas Jr. moment. Right.
Well, this
I
is
bought them for
$3.
They're up to 30.
Speaking of offers, this is the last super chat. Before that, what about Corey's offer?
So is he offering me $30?
Corey, I hope you're not asleep at the worst time right now. Okay, we miss you. Mike doesn't. Mike had a ball. Corey texted me like an hour out. Like I'm looking forward to seeing you in Iowa. I'm like, I am too. But you know what you're doing to me right now. I'm just jealous. I'm happy for you, but I'm jealous. Okay.
We had a good time, man.
You know what? We Marion Hampton is the stock is high, and I was trying to get a little more name introduction from other players, but his hype is high. So we're going to talk about more chip diamonds. We're going to talk about more of the diamonds in the class. That is.
We just watched this film last Thursday.
I got nothing. Well, do you have? I don't have really much knock on the guy. I like Amarian Hampton quite a bit.
I still prefer Caleb over him, but if you got Amarian Hampton over Caleb as RB2, his film was everything that you wanted to see.
Yeah, I prefer Amarian Hampton to Caleb, but that's not supposed to be a knock on Caleb. I know he's an Iowa guy. I get it, but I think Amarian Hampton is really fucking good.
The only knock I have on Amarian Hampton that I'm slightly questioning, right? And this is just going to be a scheme thing. Okay. Something that nobody really pays enough attention to, and I don't think enough people write about it for fantasy purposes or dynasty purposes, is his fit, right? I'm not saying like the situation has to be great, but he needs to go to a more predominant power run gap scheme, right?
You're not wrong.
North Carolina didn't run a whole lot of zone, at least in the film that we watched. We're probably like 3/4, almost through the first game of his film, and I was like, I don't know if I've seen one single zone run here, right? Like where you stretch it out, he finds a cutback lane and goes, right? No stretching it out there. But everything was pulling a guard. It was a power scheme. It was running duo. It was running wham, like over and over again. So if he ended up in a situation like, like the Texans.
I was just about to say the Texans. I know because we talked a lot about you were very anti the mixing thing. I think the Texans would be a very good one.
I'm not saying he can't. I just haven't seen it. Like that would be a little bit of a question mark if he ended up on a zone team. Now maybe they saw something that they like. Yes, he can do it, but
no. But that would be a good one as far as the polarizing one for sure.
I just haven't seen him do it yet. If you think of like the Shanahan, outside zones kind of scheme. If he ended up in that kind of offense, I'd have a little bit more hesitation because I just haven't seen him do it.
And I think to your point, that's one. I think Shanahan, the Sermon thing, I think Shanahan, like the guys that he doesn't feel great about, he's not drafting those types. I think you're probably onto it with that. But I also think one thing I want to mention with this, in general, there's not that many running backs that are very talented and aren't a little bit kind of dependent on the situation breaking right and them being put in a situation where they're going to be utilized to their strengths because most people don't have the game that Jeanty has of everything but the home run speed, right?
The best situation I can come to like Hampton, if it were to be that, Jonathan Taylor in his rookie year, one of the reasons he started off so slow is JT came from a power scheme.
He was not at all. You could tell he there was times where he looked like he was not hitting the hole. What was the dude's name? Not Marlon Mack. Backup. Oh, he was just a jag. He was looking better than him for weeks. Oh, it's driving me crazy.
It was Marlon Mack, wasn't it?
No, there was somebody else too. I'm telling you. Keep going.
All right, but anyways, JT ended up in a situation with the Colts. In the early part of the year, they were running almost exclusively zone, and he just did not look comfortable in it.
Mm-hmm.
Now, he has since figured out how to run zone, and he's not the greatest at it, but he runs it pretty well. But as soon as
Jordan Wilkins, baby. Jordan motherfucking Wilkins was the guy for like 3 weeks. He had people shitting bricks. You're not wrong.
So you could see a situation like that. At least I can foresee it with Amari and Hampton. If he were to go to a team that's predominantly zone and refuses right away to kind of adapt to what Hampton does well, he could struggle a little bit until he picks it up. I think probably the best situation for him right off the rip, we talked about it on the film session, was like if he ended up with a Chicago, in the second, third round, somewhere in there, and he's got a DeAndre Swift to kind of take over some of that third down role and be more of that, 40-45%er to kind of like start the season and kind of get his feet wet. You could see by the end of the second half of the season, Amari and Hampton really just dominate that fucking backfield as he kind of gets going.
Hear me on this one. What about a little bit of waiting, a little bit of time and waiting, so people wouldn't love it? Maybe a little dip. What about a Baltimore? Oh, let King run out, dude. Yes. That would be fucking absolute perfection.
Yes.
Rasheen Ali can go. It's fine. It's all gone, dude. That would be actually awesome.
I don't know if that'll happen with them just re-upping, Justice Hill as their dude, but
let Justice Hill be what Justice Hill is. Their little 2-minute situation. Yeah, that's fine. It doesn't scare me.
Maureen Hampton and Justin Hill for fucking life.
You know what would kind of the scheme fits, but as kind of I wouldn't really love would be New Orleans either.
Yeah.
Just because it's so meh over there. There's just not the upside just feels nuked.
The rest of the offense is pretty shady. But the one good thing I will say about Amari and Hampton is we watched quite a bit of 23 tape with Drake May, and he looked good. And then we put on the 24 tape expecting it to be worse, right? Because Jacoby Criswell and Connor, the fucking dude who started the season, he fucked every one of my seats. Connor Harrell. Harrell were fucking dog shit quarterbacks. I mean, they're both fucking terrible. Like they're disgusting. So you expected him to see a step back. He actually just took on more of the offense and dominated even more. Like it didn't matter that the quarterbacks were bad. So maybe he might be a little bit situation proof, kind of like Najee Harris in his rookie year. Even though the situation isn't great, he's still going to get his fucking touches and be a workhorse.
The one thing about Amari and Hampton too that's really intriguing, I think, it's not like he's not a name people are talking about. To me, with him, there's rumors and I think there's a chance. There's people saying he could have a chance to be the fastest of all the backs in the class.
If he's the fastest at all the backs, because he is legit.
He is a
225,
sturdy motherfucker, yes.
Yes, he is a big boy. And he moves well.
Dude, I mean, there's already like supposedly 40s where he's run, mid sub 4.5s. Or 4.4s, I mean. So, like,
yep.
Like I said, gets on his horse.
I don't have extreme question marks about his vision. Like at this point last year when I watched Trey Benson and anybody asked me about Trey Benson, like the combine and everything was nice and the size and people comped him to Breece Hall. I was like, go watch the fucking tape of this dude run into the back of his guards all the time. Like he is just so underwhelming. Even Fizz, the resident Florida State fan, would definitely tell you, like, you always wanted more from Trey Benson. He never delivered. He was interesting, but I didn't have any of those concerns watching Amari and Hampton. Now, my only concern was just like, can he run zone effectively? Like, I just didn't see it. He may run it really well. They just may be a power offense.
Yeah, it could just be that
he hasn't wanted to do it.
It could just be that he's had limited reps and give him a little learning curve time, but he'll be fine.
You tell me he comes out and runs low 4.4s or even cracks 4.3.
There's already reported 4.6, 4.4 out there, like 4.46, 4.44. Like it's
Jesus fuck, man. He's gonna be a specimen.
Dude, I'm telling you, that's a guy that he's already very high, but I could see him. He's the guy I think that could get closest to Jeanty as far as like the value in Dynasty off the rip.
He's very powerful. He does some things that I wish Caleb Johnson would do.
And that's why it's Mr. Hampton.
He does some things that I wish Caleb Johnson would do a little bit better. Right, like he is very physical.
There you go.
He's very physical. He doesn't go down easily at all. Like he runs like he's
a fucking tank.
Him and Caleb Johnson are the same size. All right, just so people know, like they were built very similarly. Caleb Johnson plays more like Rashad White at times. Omarion Hampton plays more like Marshawn Lynch at times, which is what you love to see. Long speed, both of them are going to have a little bit more of a question mark. I do think Omarion Hampton is a little bit more bursty. Definitely a little bit more. He's got that go-to. Caleb is better in the receiving game. Omarion's better in the pass protection game. And then like where Caleb thrives versus Omarion is Caleb's patience and vision is, top tier. Like,
for sure.
It's the elite of the elite.
Yeah.
Almost to the effect, I'm doing the write-up on fucking Caleb. His patience, give you a little taste of the rookie draft guy. His patience is almost fucking frustrating at times. Like, just
you don't have to get it all right now,
Just go. Just fucking hit it. Omarion doesn't have that problem. He sees it, he goes. He's got two speeds. Stopped and fucking 100%.
We are going to, for the sake of... Actually, I would love to keep going, but it's I'm exhausted. It's midnight. Mike's got work. And here's the thing. We keep going because there's so many other... We're primarily talking running backs right now. Dude, there's a handful of names I still want to get to. Check them out in Draft Guide. DraftGuide25.com, $8.99. Gets you all the players. Write-ups that will continue throughout the offseason. Obviously, you'll still get, to come here, hear our thoughts and how they change. But if you're wanting to get ahead of your league mates on the 25 class, I'm putting as much as I can into the product as well as the whole rest of the squad. I think your money will be more than well spent, but check it out. Let us know what you think. Other than that, we will be back here, same time, same place next week. And finally, we will get to, because I haven't had a chance to finish it quite, finally we will get to Mike's What the Fuck tweet of the week. I'll just leave you with this.
What? Bro, what are you talking about, man?
What's this guy's deal?
I know. Clown question, bro.
That's coming and much more next week. We love you. We're out of this thing. Peace.
Have a good one.